Hello, Alexis. How are you?
Thank you.
Good, good. Um, Let me mute my Hi. I was mute, sorry, because we were like talking things that have nothing to do with the
She's very
community
good.
board, and we were just waiting for 6:30 to unmute ourselves.
Yes, no, just to make sure that you hear me and let me know when you want to start.
We're gonna start at 6:30 on the dot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's who I was thinking. But
Mute,
you work with her.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's gonna be the one doing it, yeah. And I went to a couple of doctors.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna start at 6:30, but then maybe give like maybe 5 minutes. Danny's on his way. I think Naeem is gonna be, but Naeem is not she's a voting member of the community at large, so she's gonna be late.
Tracy said she was sick, right?
Tracy's not here. So we have 8 attendees. And, okay,
Look at these.
Oh, please, I'm so sorry, sign in.
sure.
My name's Alexis, this is Luana.
Yeah, please sign in if you're, we want to keep track of people that are attending. And there's chat. Yes, we just unmuted ourselves because the meeting has not started yet.
Have you guys figured out how to do it without the echo?
There's no echo, so I guess I didn't figure it out, but Ebenezer did.
Yeah, because one is audio and one is video. So if I have mine on, I mute it because it can still be heard over there.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, attendees. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. Bienvenido, was that your, I see a hand up from Bienvenido Toribio. We unmuted, so if you can, do I put the hand up? Thank you. Thank you for that.
The agenda copy, 'cause
No, you're not signing in. Stefan. I guess, do Bienvenido and Stephen have announcements to make related to parks and culture? That way I can start taking notes. Okay, thank you.
I got the notes there, honey, don't worry about it.
No, yeah, thank you.
Are we still going to know? I had a different number. I saw a couple different versions of this.
Yeah.
So are we checking off the, no, we did the update on the Fort Washington Park. We did that last time, right?
The what?
A brief update on forest restoration. We did
If it's for Tryon, parks always, that's a fixed item for them to report
Oh,
on
no, that I
anything.
know, but something I had, there was one I saw in one of the versions of this.
No, I don't see it.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
this is the latest. So, yeah. So let's put Catherine, let me see, to speak on programming. We have Catherine, other than parks, because it's.
And I want to make a quick announcement about classical theater Harlem.
What's that?
I'm going to make a quick announcement about capital. Where do I work? Classical theater Harlem.
Okay, sure. Can I see the attendance? So David Mendel, I just want to see, because we don't have quorum, but we don't have any resolutions to pass, so. All right, I'll give it 5 minutes, be, a little bit
And what will
considerate.
David be speaking? He's just coming in.
DCLA.
Yeah, but I mean, because I don't, so he's just here to chat.
David, quick question. Are you here to make an announcement? So that I'm just getting used to this new role. So,
Yeah, I was going to make a brief presentation about an upcoming Percent for Art Commission in the district.
and that would be an announcement.
How long can I have? I have some slides to share. It could be less than 5 minutes.
Great. Okay.
The one that was first sent out, but it didn't make it to the new copy.
It didn't make it to the new copy? Okay, we'll make an announcement about that,
Yeah.
about presentations and stuff like that and deadlines. Okay, should we get started? Hi, Jana, how are you? Jason, hello there, welcome. From what entity are you from?
New York Restoration Project.
New York Restaurant, okay. Oh, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Okay. Also, Ebenezer, we need the people from Jamel Mansion, Catherine, elevated to panelist for her to make her announcements.
Okay, I will do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Catherine Fritz.
Yeah, no, Catherine Hughes. Oh, good. Are you? No.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think I should probably,
You want to sign in?
yeah,
Yeah, why don't you do that?
yeah.
And that way, can you do me a favor and just like keep an eye on the chats, questions and all of that?
Just,
That'll be great.
put in here. My email.
Okay, I'm going to get started at 6:35. We have some members that are coming in a bit later. So my name is Luana Ferreira. I'm the new chair for Parks and Cultural Affairs. A little bit about me. I was born, raised, and still living in. Can you do me a favor? Can you got it there so that way we can see it? I'm sorry,
Do what?
just got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Got it.
That way I can see everybody here also. Okay, my apologies. Born, raised, and still living in Washington Heights, Inwood. I pride myself in saying that I'm living next to the church where I did my first communion. I'm a Payson preschool graduate. I went to PS 152. And I also am a graduate from Brandeis High School. So I breathe, live Washington Heights, Inwood through and through. So when Liz tapped me to become the chair of this very active, and I think it's the most fun of the committees, I was up to the task. And all that I want to say is thank you for the opportunity. I welcome everybody. I know that I only have 5 minutes, but I just want to give a kind reminder that all committee members are. Mute. Sorry. So just a kind reminder that we are all volunteers. Many of us have full-time jobs and we do this as a labor of love. So I ask that we treat each other with the respect that we rightfully deserve from each other as we create robust and healthy partnerships in our beautiful Community 12 community board. That's it for me. I don't know if the other members want to introduce themselves quickly, just so that I start getting used to you as well. I've seen you, but I think it's good practice. And we're going to try and keep these meetings hopefully under 2 hours, hopefully. And then we're going to get into some protocols for the next agenda and all of that. In the meantime, I did put my email there, all matters concerning CB12. They're there. I just want to hear from my fellow committee members. We have no quorum, but we also have no resolutions to pass. So that's a good thing. So whoever wants to jump in. Well, let me start with my co-chair, Alexis.
Hi, Alexis Marnell. I'm very old. I was 5 years public member, now vice chair. Very grateful and thankful for that. And I've been familiar with Washington Heights my whole life because I used to go to church at St. Spiridon growing up, and that's it. And I work for Classical Theater of Harlem. That's all I got
Classical theater, what?
of Harlem.
Oh, cool.
Tracy?
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
Hey, Howard.
Hi, Tracy McNeil, new community board 12th member, also native New Yorker, also native Washington Heightser. I am so pleased to be on this committee. My love of Highborough Park, my love of the Jamel Mansion, my love, I mean, like everybody loves the cloisters, so why even say that?
Jan is here.
I mean, but we know it's beloved, we know.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I'm very pleased to be on this committee. That's all I got. Pleasure to serve.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. We're still waiting for Danny and Naima. Barbara is not here yet. So before we get started with announcements, I have to press on the issue that in order for us to keep our meetings 2.5 hours and under, because we all have daytime jobs, if you can just take my email, and if you want to be added to the agenda other than programs, please send your request. I'm going to say maybe by the meetings happen every second Tuesday, as everybody knows, of every month. So I'm going to ask that you please submit your request. Ebenezer, we said by when? The third Thursday of every month?
Yes, that would be good. We can have it the third Thursday of the month. Yes.
Exactly. That way I'm well informed of the issues or the concerns or the presentations. And then there's no unnecessary extension of the meeting because of last minute requests to be included in the agenda. I think that would be fair for everybody, including the presenters and including myself and the members. But just for today, I will allow it. And then everybody has my email there. You can email me with those requests, CC to Ebenezer, who is our fabulous district manager.
Okay, some people are saying they didn't see your email.
Oh, I will put it again.
Okay.
It's in the host and panelist
No, webinar chat in the chat.
in the chat. Oh, the chat. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so
put it in the
it's everybody
chat
for
also.
everybody. I think you just have to switch it to everyone.
I'll do it later.
I just did it for you, girl. I got you.
Oh, thank you. You got my, there, dream team, right? That being said, then I'm going to start with programming updates as per the agenda items here. Max of 2 minutes for programming announcements. So I will start, let's see, I will give the floor to those of you that in the order that you signed in. I guess that would be the fair thing. And also, I used to be a teacher. I started my teaching career at PS 48, the Michael Busick School. So I do believe in the democratic use of time. It's fair, and 2 minutes to make your program announcements. Catherine, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I am ready. The big deal that we have coming up is a new exhibit opening called Life Below Stairs. It is about life of those who served this house, the enslaved, the indentured, as well as free servants. And so we are looking at their life and their work, and that is opening on November 11th. And we are having a fun kind of opening cocktails with 18th century foodways on November 11th from 4 to 6, and tickets are on sale on our website. So please go to that at www.morrisjamel.org and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we also have next Wednesday night a virtual parlor chat that is featuring Peg Breen, who is the president of the New York Landmarks Conservancy. And she is going to be talking about their 50th anniversary year. And if you don't know what Landmarks Conservancy is about, please join us for that. It's a free virtual parlor chat. So she'll share all of that, what Landmarks is all about. We are still working towards scaffolding around the mansion in 2024. So no fear that we will not be doing that. It will happen. It just takes a very long time. So thank you so much, and check us out and come by if you haven't.
Thank you so very much, Catherine. I'm going to move it along. Any questions for Catherine? Let's start that. No questions for Catherine. Thank you. And if you have any additional questions, I just put my email there. You can just email me. Ebenezer, the deadline for submitting requests to present at every meeting, once again, that is, Alexis, that would be the third
Thursday, you said, of the month, right?
the third
Third
Thursday of the month.
Already answered it. Gotcha.
Third Thursday of the month. Thank you. Jason.
Hi, everyone. Just a reminder, I'm Jason Smith, the Director of NYRP's work in Northern Manhattan Parks, where we partner with the NYC Parks Department to support work in Highbridge Park, Sherman Creek, and the Harlem River Greenway. I'll drop my email in the chat in case anyone has any questions about NYRP's work at any time. But in terms of upcoming programs, this weekend is the last weekend we have public community volunteer events. On Saturday afternoon, 1:30 to 3:30, we're celebrating It's My Forest Day, which is a citywide effort from the Forest for All Coalition to do volunteer projects in the urban forest. And we'll be doing some mushroom inoculation and other like propagation and native woodland edible oriented programming in the children's garden at Sherman Creek Park. On Sunday, we'll be doing tree planting with our Highbridge Forest crew. That event is fully registered beyond capacity, but the big event coming up is our largest event of the year. It's Fall Fest at Sherman Creek Park that spills out onto the Harlem River Greenway as well. We have a really long list of local and citywide partners. Programming includes tie-dye, making, music, food, all kinds of programming, Audubon, Inwood Public Library, Billy and Oyster Project, Creative Artworks, New York City Environmental Justice Alliance. A lot of folks will be out. We usually see a large number of students, particularly drawn by the candy and the haunted hike, which we've been doing for quite a long time. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any questions for Jason? I'm also managing questions in the chat. Let's see. Okay. We're multitasking here as we get used to this rhythm. I have Julie McCoy. Do you have a question for Jason? Since your hand is up. Oh, she put her hand down. Okay, thank you for that. Okay. All right. Is your question directed to Jason Smith in the attendees, Julie McCoy? Okay, no. Who has their hands up? Okay, yeah, Julie McCoy has her hand up, but she keeps putting it down. All right, you want to check the messages?
No, she's got her hair. I can't, there's nothing in the quick Q&A.
Nothing in the Q&A. Okay, so please continue addressing your questions in the Q&A. Yeah, she says she's not putting, okay, so Julie, what is your question, please? If it's directly to Jason Smith, because if not, then we're going to move it along and then I'm going to open up the floor for general questions.
She's from that.
Oh, it is not? Okay. So put a pin on your question, and once the presenters are done, I will open the floor for questions, okay?
She's probably presenting for Inwood Canoe. I forget where.
Oh, you're presenting for Inwood Canoe?
Right? Or whichever one it is.
All right. Can we elevate Julie, Ebenezer? Thank you. Okay, the next person is David Mendel.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me see if I can figure it out. Okay. Share screen, multiple. All right. So, David, you have an announcement with slides about programming.
Yeah, very brief presentation.
Very good. You may start.
Okay, thanks. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again. Very glad to be with you all tonight. My name is David Mandel from the Department of Cultural Affairs Public Art Unit, and I'm here tonight to really kick off a upcoming project for the Percent for Art program. As part of our first steps, we come to the community first to make the announcement and to let you know how you can participate. Percent for Art program considers public art to be the successful intersection between three important components: the public space or architecture where the artwork will be located, the artist and their artwork, and of course the community where the art will live. The Percent for Art programs established by law in 1982 that states that 1% of capital funds for newly constructed or reconstructed city-owned buildings be allocated for works of art. Here's an image of the very first Percent for Art project that was commissioned in 1985. It's located in East Harlem, and you can see the picture on the right is where it's still standing today. So Percent for Art projects are permanent installations. And installations are in a variety of spaces throughout the 5 boroughs. Eligible sites include courthouses, parks, cultural institutions, police precincts, DOT plazas, libraries, schools, health centers, and such as the project upcoming in the district is the Fort Washington Library. So as part of the library reconstruction project, a portion of funds has been allocated towards purchasing public art to be installed at the library. We have an $80,000 budget for this project, and the artwork is going to be determined to be located in the children's room of the library. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the process for how we're going to commission this work of art and how you can get involved. The process.
One more minute. Sorry. This is why.
Presenter.
Oh, you are a presenter, but he's not a
presenter. Yeah, but remember we just said we realized it was a mistake.
Okay, yes, it was a mistake. My apologies. This is why I want people to email me to be included in the agenda. Go ahead.
Sure.
Apologies.
Okay, we're going to commission a panel, and we have 2 types of panelists: voting panelists and advisory panelists. The voting panelists consists of representatives from the various city agencies working on the project: Department of Cultural Affairs, EDC, New York Public Library. We also have 3 independent outside public arts experts who are arts professionals who are knowledgeable of public art, the project, and the community where the project is located. In addition, we have advisory panelists that make up of program staff, but also representatives from the local elected officials' offices, design team, community board representatives, local organizations and stakeholders, and members of the public. We're going to convene a panel meeting where at this meeting, there'll be a review of the Percent for Art program. We'll talk about different criteria for assessing the works of art and their appropriateness. The design team is going to present the project in architecture and the artwork locations. Community members and other stakeholders will share community insights. And then we will review works by artists available works of art that are curated by the Percent for Art team with recommendations from local stakeholders. We'll highlight cost, dimensions, installation requirements, and all the factors involved in selecting this work of art for the library. There'll be discussion and voting. Ultimately, the voting panelists decide which is the art, but all advisory and voting panelists are invited to make comments and participate in the process. It's an open conversation. Here are a few key upcoming dates for this project. As I mentioned tonight, we're kind of kicking this off with you, announcing this project. Between now and January, we'll be doing curatorial research and collecting suggestions for both panelists and artists. The first panel meeting that I described is scheduled for January 17th. And then we'd like to come back to the community board with the selected artwork to show the community board, to present it to you. And eventually we'll go to the Public Design Commission for review. So how can you get involved? We'd love for you to suggest panelists for both the voting panelists and the advisory panelists. As mentioned earlier, voting panelists, they are arts professionals who are knowledgeable about contemporary art, the community, and the project. If you have suggestions for these voting panelists, all you have to do is provide a name and their affiliation, and we will reach out, get in touch, and determine if they're good for the project. Also, advisory panelists, including yourselves, community board members, local residents, stakeholders, anyone who you might feel is a stakeholder and interested in participating in this project is welcome to join. All you have to do is send an email to presentinfo@culture.nyc.gov. I'll put that in the chat. And we'll put you on the invite for the panel meeting. The panel meeting will be held, I mentioned January 17th, and it will be held virtually. It's an online meeting. You don't need to have any prior public art or art knowledge. As I mentioned, just interested in the project, in the community. And it's actually a lot of fun. So I hope you could send us your suggestions and also participate. If you could, send us suggestions for artists as well. So I know you'd love to see Uptown artists represented in this selection. So send us suggestions. Artists should be 18 years of age. They should have a website or some online presence where we can look at their work. And if you have ideas, you could send us a name in the link, a name in a gallery, whatever contact information you might have to help us in our research. And we'd love your suggestions by November 10th. And if you could just put Fort Washington Library in the subject line, that'd be perfect. I will leave you these slides to the community board as a way to follow up, and I'll touch base again as the date gets closer in January to make sure representatives are invited to the meeting.
And David,
That's
I dropped my email and Luana's email in the chat. So if you could send us the slides, that would be great.
Yep.
Thank you so much, David. That was a wonderful presentation. And again, my apologies because I didn't see you as a presenter on my agenda. So I apologize for that, the community. Where the learning curve is a little bit steep. So I appreciate everybody's patience. We're still with programming. So before we move to parks, I still want to acknowledge those that are here to just present their 2 minutes of program. And Julie McCoy, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie McCoy. I am the Commodore of the Inland Canoe Club. Just a really brief update because while we did end our regular Sunday walk-up kayak program Labor Day weekend, we did have another youth program this week, which brings us to a total of 16 youth programs that our club has hosted this year. We are super excited. Thank you, Tracy. And we're hoping that we can keep up that pace next year. As well, we're looking at maybe there's some other kinds of activities we can host before waiting for the water to get warm. Maybe having some speakers come to our place. There's some things in the works, but too much to talk about already. I do just want to remind everybody, Inland Canoe Club, about 200 yards south of the marina at the end of Dykeman Street. And we have met our new friends at Parks, and we are looking forward to keeping some mental momentum in the winter months so we can be ready to greet you all Memorial Day weekend, which is when our walk-up public programming begins again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
I appreciate change and I appreciate the effort here. So
thank you for that. Thank you for that. And again, please refer back to my email address. I'm usually very good at emailing, and then I'll also privately give you my personal number. I'm so much better at texting, and we'll get into the rhythm of things as I learn this new role. But thank you. Thank you for your words.
Looking forward. Thank you.
Natalie from Hispanic Society, do you have any announcements? Natalie Espino.
Yes. yes. And anytime you want to arm wrestle for like the Washington Heights Inwood cred, I'm there. Pero,
I
thank
think you should know that I was a student of John O'Neill.
Oh, fantastic.
Their books, yes.
Yes, John is an extraordinary curator of rare books and manuscripts. Natalie Espino from the Hispanic Society Museum and Library. I don't know if there's going to be a separate conversation about budget, but either way, of course, I point with a great deal of pride to our programming schedule as we continue our Hispanic Heritage Month. I will be dropping mad links into this chat because it is best, given the weather unpredictability, that people be RSVP'd. That way we can notify you of rain date changes. But coming up, if things go well this weekend, is our community mural project with artist Aurelio del Muro. And on both the Saturday and Sunday, noon to 4, as well as what might be the makeup date for our Inwood Artworks Frida's Revenge opening up for Coco en Español. If those things change, stay tuned for those announcements. But coming up after that is October 19th, our panel discussion by muralists from the Washington Heights Inwood community, including CB12's Danny Bonilla. So David Mandel, we will talk because that's an event you should be at, talking about public art, since that is the theme, that's the underlying vibe of our exhibition on the drawings by Jose Clemente Orozco. Please remember our tours at 2 continue every Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Our programming on the terrace usually has about 150, 175 people enjoying live music, art making workshops, and just a lot of creative engagement. So when you do consider your budget rankings and your priorities, please remember that programming at the Hispanic Society Museum and Library is always free. Happy to answer questions.
Right on time. Thank you so very much. And to answer Stephen Nelson's question, we're still on announcements. So yes, we also have dedicated time to speak about budget rankings, as Natalie said. So this is why, you know, the agenda may look short, but it's still, in good old PCA fashion, it's still very robust because of the pending items that require our immediate attention and priority. Thank you so much, Natalie. Do I have, and during the next agenda, I will list the organizations separately that will be presenting their programming. That way, this is not a guess work. It's not, it will reduce the guesswork. I have also Bienvenido Toribio from Assembly Member Al Taylor's office. Do you have any announcements, Bienvenido?
Yes, I do. We have this coming Thursday, we have our third family night at Riverbank State Park. It's a skating event for the family. Everything is free of charge. We also had the free flu shots this morning, but that's kind of late. But this coming Thursday from 6 to 9 at Riverside State Park, we have the family night, which is our third one this year. And everyone is welcome to come. It's from 6 to 9. Everything is free. Everything is provided. And we hope everybody will join us.
Thank you. Bienvenido. Thank you so much. I see in the chat that, is everybody getting all the information in the chat? I hope so. Yes, also, I'm going to read Natalie's not Natalie, Catherine Hughes. She says, I'm so sorry, I forgot to announce our Family and Community Day program this Saturday to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, at the Morris Jamel Mansion. That is fantastic because it merges parks and culture. We invite the community to learn about Dia de los Muertos by decorating paper skull calaveras, which are skulls, marigold headbands, which are called cempasúchil, the flower, and skeleton paper puppets and more. The only request that I'm going to have, I'd be remiss if, as a Latina, I did not remind people to please not call the Day of the Dead as the Mexican Halloween. Dia de los Muertos predates the Spanish colonizers. So I just want to do a little teachable moment there. So with no further, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
So I'm just popping in for Classical Theater of Harlem.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Alexis.
So, we are going to be the only outdoor Shakespeare game in town in 2024, as the Delacorte is going under renovation, and Carl Cofield will be directing Midsummer Night's Dream. So stay tuned for more, and come see us in July. That's it.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
So if there aren't any other entities that would like to make an announcement, yes. Okay, there's a concern there about copy and paste.
I can't do it either. Yeah.
So, and we also, yes, Rachel, I'm sorry, I'm going to elevate you. I did get your text message, so let me elevate you to panelist. Hold on, Rachel, hold on. We have Rachel, I want to say this in Spanish, Citron, from NYC Row. Rachel, go ahead. You're mute, Rachel.
Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes, here I am. Okay, I'm just glad I don't have
Say
to
your
come after
last
the
name
next
because Rachel, how do you
my
say?
last name is Citron.
Because Citron, I want to say it in Spanish, Citron, but Citron.
No problem. It sounds better in Spanish, I think.
Thank you.
So just a quick announcement. So I'm representing Row New York. For those of you who don't know us, we have youth programs and adult programs that teach young people how to row. We're located on the Harlem River. And my quick announcement is basically we have a few more spots left for 8th graders and girls in our Manhattan program. So if you know folks who are interested, they can find out all the information on our website, which is rownewyork.org. And again, it's just, we're all booked up for most of our students for the year-long program, but we have a few more spots for 8th graders and girls. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for that. Thank you. Also in the chat, David, you should reach out to the people at NOMA for artists. So we can be in touch. If you can email me, I will send you Marty Collins' information, unless you know him already. Marty is very active in the Washington Heights Community Board 12 community. He's very active in the community when it comes to the arts. Okay, so hopefully I'm not missing anybody who would like to make a program announcement. I can make an announcement on behalf of the Dyckman Farm Museum. They are having their fall festival on the 21st. They also have their annual Jack-o'-lantern Jubilee. That's on the 25th. And then the day after, on the 26th, they will be having Dyckman After Dark so far. So
what was that? Jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern Jubilee.
See, that's okay. And after that?
Dyckman After Dark.
Which is when?
The day after. Yeah. And then the fall festival is on the 21st.
I'll look at your website, but just won't forget it.
All right. So now I'm going to give the floor to Jenna Lasorte from Parks. Jenna, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Luana. It's really exciting to be here on your inaugural leadership CB12.
I'm trying.
Great job. Hey, there's a lot to learn. Plus, you're producing while you're facilitating. It's very hard. So I will say hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Happy Tuesday evening. I'm going to drop our programming in the chat because there's a lot of it, but I'll just do a few seconds of highlights. We do have some events left from our inaugural Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, and that includes Encanto and also Coco coming up, in addition to something we're excited about, Michael Palma's Hispanic Heritage Month nature photography that'll be bilingual. And also City Parks Foundation, we're bringing the Puppet Mobile from the Swedish Cottage, and they're going to present Little Red's Hood in Espanol. So that is, in addition to Halloween, I guess that's the other highlight. Luana, you shared Dykeman's, but we also have Hallow Scream Fright Walk at J. Hood Wright on Friday, October 20th. And we have also on the 21st, so that'll be a Friday, Saturday, both at J. Hood. Last year I heard scared a lot of people. So if you like to be scared, come. And then we also have Dykeman After Dark, which you mentioned. And on Halloween itself, October 31st, we will have people coming through for the kind of the mingle, the Halloween mingle through Fort Tryon Park in costumes. So hopefully everybody will come out, and I'll drop that into the chat. Let's see, in terms of other parks notes, I'll share that some capital updates, not too different from last month, but good news, the work at Monsignor Kett on the bathroom has begun. So we're excited about that. And also at Dykeman Rest, the work there has begun to upgrade that playground or that rest area to make it a little more friendly and fun. Adventure Playground, we are working on the restroom there. It's likely to be November. It possibly might go into December, as everybody might understand when we head toward the holiday period, things do slow down a bit. Quisqueya Playground, we're looking at December. And then Nature Center, fingers crossed, we're going to get word this week or next on the actual opening date. The plumbing has been fixed, so we're really getting close to the opening date. And actually, Chris Heitman, our deputy, he is one of the members of the exhibition committee. So we'll have good news on the exhibitions coming to the Nature Center as well. Luana, I know you and I were talking about the Bonifant. That soft opening was scheduled to be this Thursday. We're waiting to hear if it might be pushed to the weekend. We had a plumbing break in one of the bathrooms there that caused some havoc. So I should have an update on that tomorrow, and we can share that for sure with CB12. It's Your Park weekend is coming. It's October 21st, 22nd. We have folks gathering that are working with our Partnership for Parks on different projects. We thank all of them very much. Isham Park, Ilcatania Payan, J. Hood Wright, Juan Pablo Duarte. So thank you, everybody. And Carlos Costa, our Partnership for Parks liaison, he's wonderful. Just a note there for everybody. Unfortunately, our borough horticultural team, which usually delivers mulch, their big dumpster truck is out of commission. So it will take us a little more effort and logistics to now pick up the mulch and deliver it, because our own district trucks have to do that. So it gets a little more complicated related to that planning. But so far for It's Your Park Day, we're all good. But I just wanted to mention that. Hopefully that'll change as we head toward Mulch Fest. Sort of a park by park update. Bennett Park, we did a blitz last week, which is what we do every week. We choose a site, internal or external, in our parks portfolio to do what we call a blitz, which is a very fast cleanup of sites that need extra love. And so we did that last week for Bennett Park, really focusing on the perimeter. Broadway malls, we had a meeting with the new executive director to plan a walkthrough and a joint effort on the Broadway malls. Fort Tryon Park, we have the effort ongoing. I'm waiting to hear from our deputy chief in terms of what the timeline is, but on the Margaret Corbin Circle entrance, we have a very successful interagency plan to implement to really stop the drag racing and the donuts that have been happening around the circle. Someone, we don't know who, took it upon themselves to drag all of our garbage cans to the circle. So if you heard about that, that was not Parks. That was an individual who was trying to address it themselves. Big heads up for everyone tomorrow. NYPD will be holding a drill at Fort Tryon's Circle, the Margaret Corbin Circle. That'll be between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. So please don't get alarmed if you see a very big contingent of NYPD and hear some of their alarms. This is a drill. They do practice drills, and tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in that time frame, they will be doing one of their drills at Fort Tryon Park's entrance at Margaret Corbin Circle. Ilka Tanya Payan Park, public art will be installed. It looks like next week. We're finishing up one of the signs that needed to be installed related to the public art installation. Isham Park, we walked the park again with Pat Courtney regarding fencing, trees. Yes, ma'am.
It's up. Your time is up.
Oh, okay. Only one last thing. Jay Hood, we walked the
Thanks.
park. Thank you. We walked the park with Daryl from Friends of Jay Hood. So I am making progress in meeting with everyone, and please reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat.
Great. And we have a question. Any news on the lawn portion of Bennett Park? Plans, timeframe?
I have to check in with Steve Simon. Steve was on here. So if Steve, if you're there, I don't know the updated timeline on the synthetic turf. Steve, are you there? Do you have the update on that?
Here, I can allow him to talk. Steve, can you answer that question for us, please? If you're able, yeah.
I believe that we're waiting for the contract to be awarded. I don't think we have a date yet for when the work will take place.
Okay, thank you. All right, any updates for plans regarding the Rocky Run Dog Park? That's not the proposal. Is that related to item 4, or is this something
No,
different?
something different.
Something different?
I
Okay.
have to, yeah, Luana, I have to get back on email to the group we met with, just in terms of some of the items, but like the mulch, for instance, this will affect our ability to drop mulch. So I was waiting to hear on that, but I owe the group an email.
Great, thank you for that.
And we're also working on an estimate for the renovation of the dog run.
Okay, thank you for that, Steve. Yes.
I have some general park questions, but I'm not sure, I don't want to detract from the whole.
No, yeah,
I hold them till the end.
If it's general parks, because sometimes we're going to get into a budget meeting ranking. So I don't want to hold up the people that are not required to be in this meeting. So if you want to ask your question, go ahead.
Okay,
I think it's good now that we can have some general questions now that everybody has presented, and now that Jana has also presented, we can open the floor for some general questions.
And I don't know, this maybe is this the wrong venue for this?
Okay, sure. Well, we can give it a shot.
There's the old hockey rink up in Inwood Park.
Okay.
That is not, and no one never used as a hockey rink.
Mhm.
My question is, are there any plans to do something with that? And if not, should we look to develop some plans to do something with that? And then I have 2 other questions.
Sure, I can do that.
I'll let you ask one, and then I'm going to rotate and come back to you so that it could be fair. Okay. Yes, Jana.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, that rink, as you know, is used by a lot of people for different uses. So we are looking at it as a multi-use site. So that is underway to upgrade it and to look at the cost that would be required to repave it and to make it a multi-use site.
Great. And then there's a question from Kiltha Makule. I hope Makule. I apologize if I'm butchering your last name. Can I meet with someone regarding the synthetic turf? This is really not a good idea. There are more and more articles which I can share regarding the health hazards of synthetic turf. Are there solutions?
Yeah, well, hello there, because I think you reached out to me when I had COVID, so I'm behind on my emails. Thank you. I can share the information you provided, but I think that the time for the decision has passed. Steve, you can join me here. And I think there were a variety of reasons before I came on board that it was chosen to be synthetic, including that over the many years, the grass has never been able to grow for a variety of reasons. Steve, do you want to add to that?
Yeah.
Well, the type of synthetic turf we're using is not the type that was previously determined to be to have any hazardous material. We're using a more up-to-date type of synthetic turf, so that the previous analysis about how it might be hazardous does not apply in this case.
Thank you. We did answer the question, Rocky Run Dog Park, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I have here Stephanie Cavan. Hi, Jana. Is it okay to announce about the Little Red Lighthouse Festival at Fort Washington? Stephanie from Riverside Park here.
That would be awesome. Hi, Stephanie.
So she's going to announce it. Let me unmute her. Hold on. I'm trying to multitask here. It has not been my forte. Okay, Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi, so sorry. Stephanie Gavan here. I'm the North Park Outreach Coordinator for Riverside Park, which includes Fort Washington. But just one update on that. Wasn't sure, Jen, if you were going to announce it, so I was waiting. But the Little Red Lighthouse Festival was rescheduled due to rain, and apparently we're getting rain every weekend so far. To November. It will happen in November. Please stay tuned for updates on that.
Yes, and now that you say that, Stephanie, the flea market at the Ring Garden has been rescheduled for this coming Saturday where they're permitted. It was supposed to happen this Friday, this Saturday, this past Saturday. Now it's happening this coming Saturday. Okay, so I see no more questions in the chat. So I'm going to go back to, what's your name again? I'm sorry. Jason. Yes, Jason, your second question.
My second is, what's the status with Garmin Park?
Yes.
There's a
Gorman.
sign that said it was going to be fixed in 2021 or something like that. And what is the status? And are we, I mean, if we can't fix it, we can't fix it. But if we can't fix it, maybe we should put up something more permanent.
Before Jana answers that question, I would like to offer a kind reminder that Parks doesn't have their own budget like other city agencies. Everything has to go through expense budgets, capital budgets. But yes, Gorman Park has been the big conversation in Parks. And I'm going to, Jana, maybe you're better equipped to answer this question than I am.
No, thank you, Madam Chair, for that context. It is helpful. Hi, Jason. So Amelia Gorman is a huge priority of mine and our team, and we are already making progress. So we are approaching it in phases. In September, I asked our gardening team to go in and weed out all the beds and to do fall planting. So that has happened. You'll see garden and restoration signs when you go up to the upper terrace now on Wadsworth Terrace. That is a signal that, things are underway. 2, this month, we began our joint operations with PEP and NYPD. Those will be ongoing. Today, we removed 5 people for illegal drug activity. We also removed encampment debris, and we will be doing that consistently. Our M&O team will head back this week to go gather more of the debris. We are also working with Carmen de la Rosa's office in terms of just updating her, and also Steve Simon and I will be working to find a little bit more information about the construction site next door, which has been a little dormant. That is causing some issues as well along the sidewalk and creating some more sheltered spaces. 3, I'm working with Carlos from our Partnership for Parks office so that we can mobilize many of the individuals who have expressed interest in volunteering on behalf of Gorman Park. So if you're one of them, Jason, please reach out to me. Again, I'll put my email in the chat. So these are the phases we're doing in fall, and we'll also be leading to programming in the spring. Finally, in November, we'll have a community day that I'm also working with Carmen's office on, and our Partnership for Parks that we'll be inviting all of the interested volunteers to as we gather steam to really reclaim the park for the community ongoing.
Great. Jana, I have here, Jana, please let the Rockies Dog Run volunteers know how we can assist you in the project we have started. So that is from...
Yes, I answered that. I said I owe them an email, and
Great.
I will do that.
Great. Fantastic.
We were waiting for the mulch news and also the assessment, which...
It's an old message. I got it. Okay, it's an old message. Got it. All right. Yes, third question. because I want to get to, right now I'm doing a time check at 7:22 and we still have our budget rankings and dog run presentation.
It
So-
sounds like I should be maybe emailing my annoying questions to I'm sorry, Jana directly. So if you could just, I don't have access to the chat.
Can you just say your?
Sure,
email?
absolutely. You ready? It's Jana, Jan like Nancy, A dot LAS like Sam, ORTE at parks with an S .nyc.gov.
Parks with an S.
.nyc.gov.
Thank you.
Thank
And I'm sorry for the bomb.
Oh, you're not bothering at all.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Bienvenido. She just shared it, the email.
I'm gonna drop it in the chat too.
And then drop it in the chat. Yes. And yes, point well taken. I
wasn't able to write it down. I'm so sorry.
No,
it's okay. She's going to put it in the chat right now. Okay, so now we're up to, yes, I will take that suggestion. And as we move along, if there are no other questions, then we're going to move to agenda item number 4. Do I have the people that want to request a new dog run? Now I see that there's 67 here, but I have nothing here.
Let me see what I got.
But do you see it over there? I think it's being projected. I'm sorry, we're clarifying why do I see 67 chat items on one computer, but no chat items here.
Yeah, I had this,
I don't see it. Yeah. It would be best if you can just drop your questions, comments in the Q&A or in the web chat. Okay. All right. Well, I was expecting people to come in to propose a new dog run. Are you online attendees? If you can just raise your hand. I have 13 panelists and then 16 attendees online. Am I seeing something that's not?
I don't see anything.
And then I don't see anything. I just want to be fair. That was not disclosed to me, Pat, the location of the dog run. All I have on the agenda is proposal to request a new dog run.
I know where they want it. It's
Do you know?
yeah, it's on Edgecombe between, I live right there, between 160th and 162nd or something like that.
By the 160s.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have anybody? Jana, somebody's requesting that you please put your email on the chat again. You're welcome, Pat.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know if it scrolls up, so.
I'll do it right now, and I'm trying to drop in our events as well.
Technology,
Totally.
All right. Okay, well then, in light of the fact that I don't have anybody present to propose the new dog run, I guess we can start discussing the capital budget priorities and our rankings. And before we do that, I want to perhaps offer an idea. I'm also open to other suggestions. I guess what I want to say is I want to have a brief discussion on how to approach this so that we can make it practical. So we can start, right? I mean, last one, here's one more question. Let me see. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, dismiss. All right. So everybody should have the expense and the capital budget ranking. Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Also, but in order for this document to make sense to everybody, you should also have read or at least perused through the statements in terms of what the council has decided. Oh, hello, Danny. How are you? So good. Welcome. So one idea, now remember that I'm looking at this in terms of practicality. We are expected to submit our rankings in addition to new projects by Sunday, the 15th. One idea I had was Ebenezer's going to put this on an electronic copy, and then I can email the Excel sheet to committee members so that they can do their own ranking. Once we have decided what projects have been funded, what needs to be eliminated, and then also take in new ideas for new projects. The only concern that I have is that, as you can see, Parks has a very extensive list when you compare it to other committees of asks. And I'm wondering if it would make sense for us to put forth a limited amount of robust projects so that we can have a chance at some funding. That's one idea that I'm thinking about. And also to consider what projects keep getting put forth to the city council only to get a response that it either needs more research or to discuss with our elected members. I mean, there's a lot of verbiage in these documents that we need to pay attention to. So I'm wondering if it's practical for us to reflect on which projects have been funded, which are or seem not to be getting any funding, and then what other new projects do we rank and incorporate so that they get a chance at funding. That's my reflection. So committee, any thoughts, Alexis?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure, and I don't know if, well, everybody else will know. So Morris, Jamel, and Dykeman, they have all their monies.
Did
correct?
anybody hear that? Yeah.
Am I okay? I'm correct.
Naima, sit at the table if you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ella. I'm
Yeah.
speaking Greek to you. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just did that.
Alexis, when you say that, I'm not quite sure what you mean, because we have money for the capital project phase 1, but there are other things, water mitigation issues, that we're still seeking money for.
But the stuff that I'm talking about is the stuff that you've been having money for since like 2015. And so these projects are finally being realized, correct?
Phase 1 of it.
Phase 1. Okay. Are you going to be asking for any money for phase 2?
Yes.
Have you done that before? So I'm trying to find out. Did you do that last year?
It was, I think, part of the ask last year. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like Hispanic Society, I don't know why, never gets the funding. From what I said here, right? Hispanic Society has not received enough money for the renovations. Is that correct?
Are you calling on me to answer?
Whoever, Steve, Jana, Natalie, whoever.
I mean, if this is an internal discussion, I'll let you guys work it out, but I'm happy to speak to it.
Well, I just wonder if we need to, it's still up, you guys still need it, right?
Yes,
Those
we are always in need of continuing support.
Okay. Any other ideas on how to approach this? Because now I'm opening the floor to having a discussion that makes sense, that is fair, and that will also, I'm going to ask the committee. Okay, I guess my first question is, would it be fair to, for example, start striking out projects that have been funded or that are getting partial funding before we get into the rankings? Are going to be done at home. Once you read both, it's going to be on Excel sheet. Everybody's going to have their name, and then they're going to be ranked. Does that make sense? To give ourselves some time to submit the final rankings by Sunday, the 15th. Committee members.
I think in the past we used to have like a like a Google sheet that we will send out.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that could be super helpful, and just have it ranking. Everyone looks at it, and just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what ought to be, and by the end of the month, everyone could have all the rankings personalized and on a what is it, Excel sheet.
Right. Yeah. That's going to be the way that we're going to be ranking as a committee. Any other ideas from committee members? So I guess my first question is there anything from this list that you think would not merit an inclusion for next year's budget? Is there anything here that you would like to discuss in terms of whether or not it should be included once again for the 2024 budget? Or is there anything that you feel strongly about?
Has everyone had a minute to look at it?
Name it. Okay, if you want a minute to look at it, then go ahead. But this is something that I think we've been given to since the last community board general meeting, I believe.
I mean, for me, I think anything that we can do for ADA accessibility.
ADA accessibility?
Priority.
Mm-hmm.
And just, having been sitting on this committee for a couple, years now, I always feel like we could give the Hispanic Society more support. But
Okay.
I would say, and Gorman Park seems to also be a very needed.
Yes.
Very much in need of a variety of things. So I think that's really important.
Right.
So for me, Gorman Park, Hispanic Society, and anything that requires ADA compliance would be great.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. You too.
And then the expense budget. Everything looks good there to me, so I can't, maybe I'm not the
Right.
best one, but for the most important one is for me is the Native American African burial ground.
Okay.
To develop a memorial in terms of the expense budget.
Okay.
But they're all needed. So
What line is that?
that's on the expense item, line 26.
Okay, Tracy also just left the meeting, so she's not feeling well. She actually joined sick.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Tracy.
I would just like to share for the record that I have been speaking to a lot of different folks that live in the Dykeman area.
Uh-huh.
And folks were not too happy with the work that was done at the Anloftus playground.
Okay.
For example, the structure that the kids can climb up.
Uh-huh.
The material gets really hot in the summer.
Ah,
And
okay.
so there was some parents shared complaints about why was that material used when it can get hot and kids can get burned. So that was one. Number two, it was just a sense of, it just seems like it was very minimal. There were just very minimal renovations done, and it was only to half of the park.
Mhm.
The other half of the park has remained the same. So it just, folks just felt like, where did the money go? And this is just from different people. I've heard it from men, women, folks that identify different. So that's just one thing I wanted to bring up to the board, since we are parks, the committee. And
Jana has a question. Jana, you have a question before you continue with the second item. That
Sure.
way, yeah.
Sure.
Well, hi. Yeah, it wasn't in relation to that. This is the first I'm learning of that. I was just noting, Luana, that in the chat, Steve Simon, who really, who heads our capital efforts, he had made a note that the reconstruction of Gorman Park, as you already noted, Alexis, and the hockey rink and in Wood Hill might be two good budget items.
Which ones?
Which ones again? Gorman, the Gorman Park.
Yeah, Gorman
It
Park.
has been a discussion for as long as I can remember. I wasn't even on the community board. The way that more you let it go, the more weeds and all of that, and the more maintenance it will require. So
yeah, I've lived here 17 years, so it's been an ongoing challenge for sure. We know. So that and as the gentleman Jason mentioned, the rink at Dykeman Fields, which is part of Inwood Hill Park. That might be a good one too. We've been receiving more and more inquiries about the usage of that site. And in terms of that young lady's notes, we'll take those under advisement. Steve and I will talk about that with Capital.
Naima. So I guess that when we're talking about these items, the question that we need to ask ourselves as a committee is, do we keep the item as is? For example, in the case of Alexis saying the accessibility according to the ADA, how do we word that? Do we keep it as is, or do we strike it out? And when I sent the email and the Google Sheets to everybody, it will be sent as is. And then people will have a choice to either decide, okay, we keep asking for this every single year. And what we get back from City Council is further study, ask your council member, it has to go through this, or do we continue insisting? And also add your own, such as the hockey rink. Are we saying that we want to rehabilitate the hockey rink? Or?
Honestly, I mean, me personally.
Yeah.
Anything would be better than what that is.
All right, because then I want to advocate for a roller skating rink. I'm a big roller skater.
I wanted to,
but yeah.
Second that.
Yes.
The lady, I can't see the name.
Who?
I'm guessing she's with the Parks Department.
Jana.
Jana. Hi, Jana. I'm Naima. Nice to meet you. So
nice to meet you.
If it helps, I can actually do like a community survey, if that helps. Like literally speaking to people on the street so that we can get direct feedback from folks. Because the reason why I say this is because our chair just mentioned about the roller skating rink, and I've actually been hearing that as well a lot from different people. So I just wanted to bring that to the table as well.
Well, I think, hello, Naima. I think, any community survey that CB12 Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee wants to do is always welcome. And, there are a lot of ideas for the rink usage, including it being used as a rink. So sure, we welcome all ideas. And in terms of the Loftus materials, that's always useful feedback. And again, I'll mention it to Steve for our capital unit that works with our contractors on materials design. So we'll, if that is an ongoing problem, which it seems to be from the conversations you've had, we would welcome having some of those names so that we can talk with those people and get first person testimony.
I'll do that, no problem.
Thank you.
Danny, you had a question?
Yeah, I was about to make a mention about that rink that's in the back. There's a lot of people that use it as well as a volleyball court. So I would wonder, if you make that into a rink, what would happen to all the people that play volleyball back there? Would you also make a proposal like to put a volleyball section, to ask for more, while it's up on the list?
Hi, Danny, it's Jana. Luana, can I answer real quick?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, as I mentioned before, I don't think you might not have been on the meeting. It's very evident that people want it to be a multi-use site. So there have been no decisions made yet. We need community input. But from the majority of people who have spoken to us and reached out, multi-use seems to be the idea. And volleyball, definitely know about the legacy volleyball games there. And a lot of people use it for soccer, biking, workouts, boxing, roller skating. There's a lot of multi-use there. And there's pickleball interest as well. So we are.
What I was going to bring up. Not that I can pickleball. I mean, if it was me, it would be bocce, but I'd be the only person using it.
Oh, bocce ball, yes.
No,
yeah, petanque.
No, yeah. Really, let's be honest here, it wouldn't get that.
I guess that with that said, before we continue with our brainstorming about projects, I want to give Danny his props for being the artist behind the 191st tunnel. He is the artist, and it was announced in the general committee meeting, but I mean, as the new chair, I also want to acknowledge Danny Bonilla, one of our very own artists. And Danny, you should be connecting with, it was David Mandel, I remember the last name, for an art initiative that he brought. So we'll catch up on
1%
that.
for art, Danny.
1% for art.
Cool, no problem. Thanks for the acknowledgement. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I guess that my other observation or my other or something to be considered is the feasibility of these projects. I mean, you know, there are some capital projects that are very, very ambitious, but then I'm wondering, for example, with this skating, pickleball, volleyball, right? How can we get all three? And is it cheap to get all three so that we can get the funding for all three? Does that make sense? Okay. And then when we look at this list, what's going to be the most expensive? Is it going to be Gorman Park? And if we're really serious about getting this park finally rehabilitated, then what are the asks that would need to be sacrificed in the name of rehabilitating Gorman Park? Does that make sense, everybody? I'm just putting these things out there as a way of how the community might think about it, and the optics also, you know.
I think what is it in land use? We ended up using an actual survey that we would like send out to people to see maybe we could do that, or have community leaders that have like more outreach to ask like maybe like the top 3 questions. Like I think Gorman Park is a very important thing that to put just high on the list. That's an important connection right there for the top part and the bottom part, you know, just like walking distance. I think I know that's one of the things that we use in land use.
Thank you, Danny. And we also want our asks to be as diverse as possible in terms of, for example, accessibility. But also in our asks, we need to be mindful of geography. I know, for example, that I live in Inwood, and even though that is within my purview, it doesn't mean that I want all projects to be focused on Inwood, only because that's my immediate neighborhood. And this is why I love that I have Alexis as our vice chair, because she represents the other side of town, which is the 160, 150s, right? So we also have to be mindful as a committee to really expand our peripheral view in terms of our asks. Thank you for joining, Julie.
So
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
2 items which I would like to advocate for. Number 34 on expense on our capital budget.
34 on capital.
Yeah. Inwood Hill Park ball fields 3 and 5.
Okay.
So there are baseball and softball teams that play every single year. They've been playing for over 20, I would say over 25 years. And it's over 200 families that have children that play there.
Okay.
Continuously, consistently. And they actually put money out of their own pockets to fix things in that area. To make the field playable for the kids. And so these are mainly low-income families that are there. And I just bring up the fact that they've been there for a couple of decades, because it just shows that there's consistency, and it's usually in those numbers of like 200 families, 100, 150, 200 families that have children playing there. So I would just like, I would like to advocate, and I can bring in, you know, they can come in to our next meeting, or, you know, they can come in and they can share. There's videos and pictures that, you know, back up the fact that they've been there for so many decades doing the work. So I would just like to bring that up a little bit more, just to highlight the the importance of it.
Right.
And the other one is.
Before you continue, Naima,
Yes.
that would be a great idea that they would come and advocate.
Okay.
But remember that these rankings are due by
Okay.
Sunday, the 15th.
This Sunday. Okay.
So it wouldn't serve a purpose for them to come once we have submitted our rankings.
Understood.
Okay?
Understood. The second one that I wanted to highlight was, number 18.
Mm-hmm.
Inwood Hill High Bridge for Triumph Parks reconstruct the 60 miles of park pathways and paving.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's so much usage of the area that it just makes sense as something to be highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who would be able to answer the question in terms of.
Jana.
Yeah, because
Would
you asked a very good question. You want us to highlight number one, or to prioritize, and then number
Yeah.
two, you also want us to be mindful of, in order for something to be successful, we have to be strategic about it. So
Exactly. Yeah. And also another question, and this is not me, this is the discussions that I have with people in the community. For example, this comes up. And I grew up playing in Fort Tryon Park. That is the crown jewel of the Heights. So the question is always, why does Fort Tryon always get everything? That's the word. That's not me. That's the word on the street.
Yep.
Especially because they have a trust. They have robust fundraising and all of that. And I hope Fort Tryon, I live across the street from Fort Tryon. I actually go in my pajamas and have coffee at Fort Tryon because I can. So another thing that we need to consider in our asks is that if entities are able to do their fundraising, which is a valid thing, then should the ask be included, minimal, or to what degree, right?
with that said, I'll take back my recommendation.
No. See, no.
No.
I'm just here to facilitate a discussion
Okay.
and also to play both sides of the balance,
Okay.
right?
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
When we start either eliminating or prioritizing or whatever it is that we want to call it. Because I know I have a lot of people at the minute I took this position to be chair, the first thing was Gorman Park. So, and I have to listen to all of the asks and then assess not the validity, but validate the concern,
Yeah.
particularly with certain projects, right?
I always hear the same thing about Fort Tryon. What,
Yeah.
I get that same feedback.
If that makes sense, everybody, don't shoot the messenger, I go out a lot in the neighborhood and I hear what people say and all of that. So this is why I think that we have, and they're all good, but then the question is it practical? Are we really getting the most out of our asks? And remember, it's not just parks, it's also culture and programming. Right?
I do have a question about the nature center. Isn't that the one that's opening up again soon?
Who would answer that question?
I guess Jana.
Yes.
Okay, so it's on, because it's on here, but does that need any more funding?
No,
or is that-
No, that's supposed to open this month and exhibitions are being sorted out right now.
I thought.
Okay, so we can strike that out. What number is that again?
36.
So 36 we can strike that out. Okay, that's one less, people. 36. That's the Learning Landscape Nature Center. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but what is the lighthouse link, number 29? Excuse my.
Can anybody explain what 29 is?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
The Lighthouse Link is probably the most expensive project on your list. It's an extension of the Greenway along the river, north of the lighthouse, north of the George Washington Bridge, up to a pathway that was built some years ago, running south from Dyckman Street to roughly 185th. So right now it dead ends at 185th Street. The idea would be to continue it south, so that there would be a continuous greenway along the river and people would not have to then climb up the hill to get to the existing greenway alongside the Henry Hudson Parkway.
This would run parallel to that pathway that connects Dykeman all the way to Battery Park City, yes?
Well, this would provide a continuous connection from Dykeman all the way down to the Battery.
Wow.
So
Okay.
right now, you would have to go up. What we created a ramp on Dykeman Street that takes you up to the existing greenway alongside the Henry Hudson Parkway. That then brings you down towards 181st Street. Then you then have to go through a circuitous route down a hill to get down towards the Little Red Lighthouse. People going north have to climb up that hill. So this would be all on one level along the river. It's something that people have dreamed about for years, and the cyclist community would love to have this.
The what community, Steve? I'm sorry.
The cyclists,
Got it.
the bikers.
So, but here's my question now. What I see on this list is 2 projects concerning the Little Lighthouse.
Well, the
See that
little,
number 19 and number, yeah. But see, in terms of, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
the Little Red Lighthouse itself has nothing to do with this lighthouse link. That's just the name that's given because it links down towards the lighthouse. But the lighthouse, which is a landmark and is in a very precarious condition, needs to be rehabilitated. That's a significant project that we're also seeking money for. It's high on our list because we want to preserve this landmark, and so it's right when we hold the Little Red Lighthouse Festival. At this point, we have to limit the number of people who enter the structure. We can't allow more than 6 at a time because it can't hold more than 6, and we're afraid of further deterioration. So the building needs to undergo a significant renovation. We were afraid we couldn't even hold the festival this year, but we took a look at it again and decided it was good for another year. I don't know if that'll be the case again next year. So it requires a significant amount of money in order to be rehabilitated.
So is that amount of 6.3, what is it, $1 million? Is that still reflective or?
I don't know. I don't think that's the current estimate.
Got it.
We've had people taking a look at it over the course of the last few weeks prior to the festival, and I believe they're working on a new estimate.
Got it. Jason.
I don't know if it's going to be higher than that, but I'm looking to get an updated number.
Understood.
So Steve, right now, if you go to the restaurant place, the Hudson, and you take a left, and there's a path that goes with the train on your left that goes down, but it dead ends.
Yes.
Are you talking about extending that? That would be then it would no longer dead end and it extend that.
Yeah. That is the exact point of the Lighthouse Link project, is to extend that path along the river, running south past the bridge to where the lighthouse is located, so that people can walk and jog and bike right along the river.
And they don't have to go all the way up and then all the way down.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussions? So at least we got one taken care of. Does the committee have, I also want to give an opportunity. It's good that we have this deadline of within 9 days, because I also want to give the opportunity to those that were not here to participate in, well, we have to participate because we have to rank these. Anything else? Well, how many, well, Danny, myself, Alexis, and Naima. Yeah. Anything else that is jumping at you? Anything new? So now the people, the dog run people, are we expected to include that in the project since they did not come to present?
They didn't show up.
They didn't show up, right?
And
okay.
Yeah, so we'll just leave it at.
We can leave it at that. Okay.
I mean, I think if there's existing dog runs, but
right.
to
But
build
the
a new one.
To build a new one,
The people,
exactly.
person who,
I'm asking the question.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, yeah. Just want to make sure I don't get any disgruntled constituents or community members, you know.
Oh, you will do, don't worry.
It is now 7. It was a good first meeting. It was a good first meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your flexibility. Danny, you have a question?
Yeah, quick question. Did we mention what is it? The rebuilding of La Marina? Like, is that up on the list, or is that like already like striked out? Because I think at one point they came in and presented, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if it's, are you talking about the restaurant or the real marina? Because
The little
restaurant-
park, the street that goes into the park, into the boardwalk.
I mean, I did hear some discussions about that, but I mean,
We have.
I don't even know how to approach that. Yeah, Steve, please, Steve, yeah.
If I may,
Of course.
if you're referring to the reconstruction of the marina itself, which also extends down to the Inwood Canoe Club and includes the existing Dykeman Pier at the dead end of Dykeman Street, that is a $22 million project, which is completely funded. You don't need to. You don't need to have it on your list, other than if you want to list it in the section for continuing support. If you just want to show that you support the project, you can just give it. You don't have to rank it. You can just give it a CS.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Steve.
I do have one question.
Go ahead, Alexis.
So number 35, it just says community garden.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, so, but I don't really
Where?
understand what that is, right? Which community garden? I know that, NYRP funds some of these community gardens. They have, they get also different types of like community grants from the city. So, I don't know, Steve, can you shed some light on that?
Well, I can only sort of hypothesize, because I'm not sure whether this particular item is attached to any particular location.
Doesn't say it.
I do know that in Community Board 12, we sort of have the the positive thing maybe about is that we don't have that many abandoned lots. We don't have that many parcels that lend themselves to be converted into community gardens that I can think of. And I know that some years ago there was money that was allocated through participatory budgeting to create a community garden. Presumably it was to be a part of Highbridge Park, which turned out not to be a feasible idea. And for the last number of years, we haven't been able to find a place where that money could go. So I don't know whether it really makes sense to carry this as an item on your list because there is some existing money and we don't know how to use it.
Especially because the location is not even specific. So what is it exactly that we're talking about in terms of the, what geographical point are we talking about, Jenna?
I don't know.
Thank you, Luana. I just wanted to share in case the chat is hard for people to access. Steve had mentioned to Naima that we encourage the ball players to speak at the upcoming CB12 budget hearing on Thursday, the 19th. And then also Leslie Henry, I wasn't sure if she was able to speak. Our partner over at Rocky's Dog Run just mentioned that dog run, as we know, is still in need of funding and renovations.
Which dog run?
Rocky's. Over on Riverside Drive, right below 168, 165.
So that means maintenance?
Yeah, it's ongoing renovations, 165 in Riverside. Leslie shares that Rocky's Dog Run was denied a chance at the last cycle participatory budgeting. She was a delegate on the premise of an existing DOT lighting project, but no DOT project exists. I'm reading her note. I attended the DOT presentation about the 165th and Riverside Drive and there wasn't a connection to the dog run. So they're still looking for support.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
So, I'm sorry, so we can say that 35, 34, we can, no, 35, we can strike
Yes.
that, right?
So are we in agreement that we can strike out item 35?
35, yes.
Danny?
That's fine.
All right. So we are at 8:02. I think that a practical way, thank you for that, Natalie Espino, for addressing any questions relating to the Hispanic Society. So I think that in an effort to keep things practical and within the 2-hour meeting, how about if we go down the list and agree as to whether or not we want to keep it, reward it, or just get a quick update? Can we do that? Naima, I'm sorry, you have a question, Naima.
My question is, how would folks feel? I just looked through the list and there are 5 items that are connected to Fort Tryon Park.
Mm-hmm.
In the spirit of the fact that a lot of us have heard the same thing of how Fort Tryon
Mhm.
Park is prioritized a lot, but they also have the capacity to fundraise and they have a board of trustees. There's, you know, there's money behind that. Would it be okay for folks if we bring those 5 items either to the bottom? If we put them at the bottom, or if we eliminate them as items for this time around? Or would that be a little?
Well, it
How
doesn't
do
matter.
folks
This
feel
is
about
last year's ranking.
Mhm.
So when we decide to include it, this is a result of the ranking. So it doesn't matter where you put him on this list. It's ultimately the ranking that matters.
So then let me be direct.
Yeah.
I would like to move for or suggest that we eliminate those 5 items. And then we focus on the remaining, prioritizing the remaining items.
How would you address the question of equity?
Yeah.
You know, like I hear what you're saying, but you know, if we decide to eliminate all things pertaining to Fort Tryon, then how would you respond to the people that live in that community that there are no projects that included potentially Fort Tryon?
I think it's safe to say that Fort Tryon is included every single, in every single capital. Every time this is being done, Fort Tryon is always included. So I think this is a matter of equity. This is actually a direct response to the calling for equity. Because Fort Tryon is always included, because Fort Tryon has independent funding from big pockets, they have the capacity to fund a lot of these items. And so it's actually being fair to the rest of the community that doesn't have that fundraising capacity. These parks that don't have that kind of backing, it allows us to prioritize those projects. So it is actually a suggestion of equity.
Could I speak on this?
Yeah, Steve, please.
I think there's a misunderstanding here. Number one, Fort Tryon Park does not get everything. Number two, the only project it's had in recent years is some path work, which some of which was on the upper level, some of which I think extended below that. The only really major project in recent years was at the End Loftus Playground, which I would argue serves mostly people east of Broadway. So it's not.
Let's let him finish.
It's not just serving people up on the hill, if that's the impression. And the Fort Tryon Park Trust is not a big pockets group. It's not a bunch of people with a lot of money. It's got people on the board like Shah Ali, who used to be the chair of our board. It's got Nobles Crawford, who's a member of our board. These are not rich people who are donating millions of dollars. This is not the Central Park Conservancy. This is really a misunderstanding. And the money that they raise, maybe it goes towards hiring a couple of additional gardeners or helping to maintain the park. It isn't. They do not have the capacity for large-scale capital projects such as the ones that are on this list. So I disagree strongly with the suggestion that you can eliminate Fort Tryon Park from this list.
And just to one One quick note, Madam Chair and Naima, to add to Steve. The funding that Fort Tryon Park Trust provides is really for programming and the Dutch elm trees. So as Steve said, they do not have money for capital at all.
Got it.
So again, in terms of as you prioritize your projects, I love all these parks. So it's hard. It's like, your babies, because they all deserve everything. But in terms of how you guys are prioritizing, I think that's a big issue in terms of whether it's, what it is, because Fort Tryon Park Trust does not have any funding for capital.
Thank you. Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And that's why I try to create sort of like facilitate the discussion by listening to what everybody has to say, but also offering a counter argument that doesn't necessarily come from me, but it may come from either a perspective of optics or what people are saying. And also, I would caution that just because an entity fundraises, for example, doesn't mean that there aren't dedicated tax dollars to those projects, because then we can dangerously fall into the trap that, for example, because Hispanic Society has a fancy gala, then they don't deserve our funding, particularly because they have no admissions fee, right? It's the Hispanic Society is free. So yeah, but also on that same token, I want to make sure that all of the concerns are also valid and we can have a productive discussion and move forward.
So I have a question. Is the cloisters part of the Fort Tryon Trust?
No.
No, that's a Metropolitan Museum, and that is completely separate and does not fund the park in any way.
Okay.
So thank you. This is very difficult. How do you prioritize, all of these, the entities, the programming and all of that. So I think, yes, Alexis, go ahead.
And Steve, Simon, this is for you. I know you were really passionate about this. What's going on with the McKenna Square Park? Did that get any funding last year for fiscal year 23?
No, it did not. And I would appreciate your keeping it on the list, because I am working. I can't really talk too much about this. I am working very hard right now to get the money for McKenna Square, and I am particularly hopeful that I am going to get it. But I still want to be able to point to the fact that it has the community board support. So I would appreciate it being at least somewhere on your list. If it can't be high up, at least keep it on your list, because I'm getting very close here, I think, to getting the money.
Thank you, Steve. Your hand. Oh, it's not your hand. So we only have, I want to close this meeting by 8:30. So would it make sense, committee, that we go down the list, ask a question, keep, scratch off? If you're not comfortable saying scratch off, then we'll keep it, and then the ranking will speak for itself. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
How does that sound? And then we also have members of the community that if they want to advocate for a specific project, then they are well in their right to do so, because that's what a community meeting is about. So let's start. So number 14, we're not ranking. We're just saying, do we want to keep it, or do we want to ask questions now that the representatives are here? Does that make sense, Naima, Alexis, Danny?
Yes.
Yes? All right, so number 4, we're going to start at number 14. Add ADA compliant bathroom in the Javits playground. Questions, keep, is it getting funding? Yeah, so.
If it's ADA compliant,
yes,
we have to keep.
We have to keep it?
Yeah.
Good,
For me,
okay.
in my world.
Where's the
Okay.
Javits playground located? Sorry.
The Javits playground, Jana, where is, or Steve, where is it located again?
It's at the high point of Fort Washington Avenue, right next to the Margaret Corbin Circle.
It's
Oh, yes,
191st in Fort Washington.
Yes, I knew. See, but that's why I don't answer those questions. I know exactly where it is. I don't know the street.
That's because you're a local.
It's next to the old Mother Cabrini. It's next to the Mother Cabrini Shrine.
Okay, and when we say ADA compliant, what does that entail exactly? Are we talking about ramps, lifts, like let's
No,
be.
no. It's, when we did the renovation of this playground a few years back, we left space for the construction of what we now call a public restroom building. It would have more than one bathroom. I wish you'd put an S on bathroom, but.
Oh, it's the bathroom. I'm sorry. I forgot that big word.
But it would be flush with the ground. It would be the doorways and partitions inside would be wide enough to accommodate wheelchairs. And all of the fixtures, everything would be designed so that they would be convenient for people with disabilities.
Great, thank you. All right, that was specific, so we can, oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm all for a public bathroom.
Yes, in New York, right? Yeah. All right, so
Where's my glass?
do I get a yes from committee members? You can just raise your hand, your virtual hand.
Yes.
Danny? Thank you. And Naima, yes? Okay, so that's a yes, we're keeping it. What about 15, renovate Payson Playground? Oh, my little preschool. I still have my graduation program. And make it accessible, make needed repairs to park, house structure, and make building fully accessible.
Yeah, this would probably require ramping.
Okay, to be specific, yeah.
But the building has a lot of problems, and it needs extensive amount of work, not just to the roof. We're doing some electrical repairs there now, but it needs a lot of work in order to make it really usable for the public.
Okay.
So,
Team?
by the way, do you have any pictures of yourself inside the preschool?
I don't, Steve, I don't. It was the 70s.
Okay, that's another conversation. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to connect with you, Steve. You can get my phone number from Jana. She has it. I do a lot better texting.
Okay,
All
no,
right.
I'd love to have a picture of the inside.
Yeah, I'm quite sure there's one in Google. Team, do we want to keep this one? And then the ranking will decide how we prioritize? Yeah? Danny?
That's fine.
Fine. Okay, so now that we have Natalie, Hispanic Society renovations, roof interior terrace, sidewalks, ADA compliance. Now I know that Hispanic Society was closed for renovations. So how does that fit into these asks, Natalie, if you can answer that?
Hello, thank you. And let me just say, as a former board member, but I will say that, so the Hispanic Society completed the first phase of renovation on the main building. So they were able to reopen for regular public hours, but in limited space. So because we've made the commitment that we will not reopen spaces that are not accessible. So we have a wheelchair lift that connects people, a ramp that gets people from Broadway into the lower terrace, a ramp, and then a wheelchair lift that gets people to the upper terrace, and a second wheelchair lift that gets people into the main floor of the main gallery and our famous Sorolla Gallery. Those were all part of the phase one, in addition to these other renovations of the roof, etc. The next phase will include making the mezzanine level accessible. So we have this extraordinary collection that we'd love to have on view instead for now, until we can get the money matching the funding that we've already gotten from the city. We will continue to do rotating exhibitions on the accessible floor.
Okay, so we have some things accomplished with this ask. The second ask would be funding for phase two to make the mezzanine ADA compliant. But until then there's no access to those to the exhibits on those floors. Yes.
So they are not open.
All right. So
I'm now just holding that art, and we are rotating it into temporary exhibitions in highlight shows or specially themed exhibitions.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Committee members keep so that we can rank again, and then with specificity that now the funding is for phase two.
I don't know.
Okay, so I mean, we don't have quorum to, well, we don't have
Oh, that's
quorum to
fine. I
pass
just thought you were
motions, yeah.
asking- Okay.
Okay, so yes, we will include it, and then we'll let the ranking speak for itself, Natalie. Okay, we have one committee member who said that because you got funding, she would rather just strike it out altogether, but Danny, how do you vote on that, on Hispanic Society? He's an artist, so I think I know how.
So what is it, to change it like to phase 2, or just to keep it as is, right?
Phase 2, because there was some funding for phase 1. So the
Yeah,
ask is to be included, but then we need to be specific what that phase 2 is, which is to make the mezzanine ADA accessible.
Yeah, I think that's more than fine. I do remember that they were fixing up the Hispanic Society not that long ago.
Okay. So then how do we feel about repair badly degraded staircases and retaining walls in Isham Park? Do we have any updates on that?
Yeah, I think we now have the money. We have the retaining walls, I believe, are covered. We have projects in the pipeline to take care of the retaining walls, but not for the staircases.
Okay, so if we were to keep this, then the only thing is just the staircase because the retaining wall is going to be repaired. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah, it's more than one staircase, yes.
Got it.
So just the degraded, just keep for the staircases. then.
Just keep for the staircases. Do we want to keep this? Naima, Danny?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I think that I just see it as we'll just keep everything, you know?
I mean, we can reward it, but then we can always, like I said, let the ranking speak for itself.
I wanted
It
it
just
to
seems
add
like
something. I wanted it to try to add something into the reconstruction of the paths, like the 60-mile plus path. I would argue to add.
What item is that?
Is the next one, the one that we're about to talk about.
Hey, Danny, but let me just get Naima's input on this current item before we move to the next one, okay?
Okay.
Is that okay? Thank you. So yeah, Naima, you had some thoughts about.
No, my thoughts were similar to the previous item, that since they received funding, just
Mhm.
wanted to prioritize the items that have not received any funding.
Got it.
That's all.
Okay. So then in that case, we can let the ranking speak for itself once it gets reworded. Is that fair? Are you comfortable with that?
That's fine.
Fantastic. Okay, Danny, you're up with Inwood High Bridge and the 60-mile. Go ahead.
I would argue to add a little bit of High Bridge Park under that bridge that connects 181 in Amsterdam to the path that goes back into Dykeman. There's like a whole section under that bridge, and I wonder if Parks is even if that's like Parks land where they could reconstruct all those paths out over there. If they're even repaving a lot of the paths that we have out over here in these parks in Fort Tryon and in Will Hill Park.
Well, we recently did the paths in the northern half of High Bridge, going up to Dykeman Street. I'm not sure at the moment if we began at 181st Street or I'm not sure, or shortly or a little bit north of that. I'd have to double check, but certainly what we're suggesting here is that we need money to cover more paths in that park, as well as the others in northern Manhattan.
So this is 60 plus miles that would connect that Inwood Hill, High Bridge, all of these parks to reconstruct. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're saying at the moment. I mean, some of those paths have been reconstructed and repaved. As I mentioned, we recently did some paths in both Fort Tryon and Inwood Hill. We also did a lot of path work in High Bridge over the last few years, but there's still a hell of a lot more work to be done because we have so many miles of paths in those three parks.
Got it. Would we be able to get some information in terms of how much has been worked on so that the committee can make an informed decision on how to rank this particular project? To acknowledge what Naima is saying, that if certain, from what you're saying, Naima, if some of these already got funding for some projects, then, I would imagine that some of us would want to be informed in our rankings. That way, I guess we feel like less guilty, I guess it is, or we can just dedicate more funding to something that has not been funded whatsoever, as Naima is saying. Does that make sense?
Would that be considered like continuing support? No, right?
No, the CS is a designation that's meant for projects that are already funded and are somewhere in the pipeline. They have yet to be constructed and completed, but they're in the pipeline, and you're showing continued support for them.
I want to bring up one point.
Go ahead, Naima. Yes, thank you for clarifying, Steve.
Okay.
That's important to understand.
Something that just came to mind in terms of prioritizing, and this is just a question for us to keep in mind as we continue down the list. Do we prioritize funding items that folks are already using right now and in high quantity and high volume, that there's a lot of people already making use of something? Or do we prioritize items that in the future there will be use? And I give the example of we're about to come up with, Gorman Park, for example, folks are already using, Gorman Park is not being used.
Nope. Only the benches outside.
Right.
Not the inside.
Well, the upper level of Gorman is in use.
Yes, thank you for that, Steve. Yes.
That's the part, but the triangular.
Yeah,
building, right?
Wadsworth.
Okay, so I just wanted to put it so we can just have it in our consciousness, right? Are we going to prioritize more of the things that will be used down the road, like the 60 miles of the park pathways, or are we going to prioritize more like the overlook at J Hood or the Raw Wallenberg playground, which folks are using? Do you understand? Making sense?
So yeah, can I try and read?
Please, yeah.
So you're saying that when we're looking at these rankings, are we looking at it through the lens of, are people using it right now? Is it high usage right now?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we want to rank them because they potentially can be used?
Yeah, like I
right?
want us to keep that in mind. I guess.
And what benefit does that bring to the community if we open up, for example, Gorman Park, right? Okay, but that's I think that's an individual choice, and it depends on what priorities you have as a member of the community. And if you want to see it that way, then that certainly serves purposefully. If you see like, well, I want to rank these projects because I think they might bring more people to the community, more visibility, more funding, whatever that may be, right?
More so that folks are already using certain spaces and it needs more resources.
Right. Did you hear that, Steve, Jenna? You heard that, right? The owl is working, yeah?
Yeah. It's a difficult balancing act, but definitely, it's a legitimate point to, take into account areas that have a high utilization, where there's a public demand for the use of the space. Of course, you should take that into account.
I think the only caveat there is a site like Gorman Park, has been closed for enough time that it's kind of hard to take into account how many people would be using it if it were open.
Right. And I think that's what Naeem is saying also. I think it makes perfect sense. But like I said, the committee does their rankings according to whatever they, if you want to look at it through that lens, then that's appropriate, right? But that's not to say that, for example, I'm not saying that I would, but let's say that if a committee member lived closer to Inwood Hill Park, then of course that committee member might rank at things concerning Inwood Hill Park on a higher level. But, everybody has their priorities. I just want to be fair and equitable. That's what I try to do. So we already discussed the Little Red Lighthouse and why it's on this list. We spoke about how the condition and how now the festival is being staggered or it has limited attendance. So that has already been explained. Let's move to item number 20, add ADA compliant bathroom in Dyckman battlefields. Oh, not battlefields, sorry, ball fields. Jesus.
I read it the same way too, and I was like, why am I, do we
Look,
have like?
I think I need a new prescription. This is too small.
You're thinking of the Battle of Fort Washington, which I forgot to mention, November 12th.
November 12th. Thank you.
Yeah, I was reading the same
Yeah,
thing.
but this is also being live streamed and recorded, so people can access this. So how do we feel about item 20? Keep, strike out.
Keep,
Of
the
course,
ADA
Alexa
yes,
says keep it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Definitely
I think
definitely keep.
keep it.
anything that has to do with ADA compliance and accessibility, we are keeping. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. Yes.
Great.
Yeah,
All right.
This is an item that was originally generated by the committee itself some years ago when we did a presentation concerning renovation of the soccer field. And the committee members pointed out how there weren't any nearby bathrooms.
Great, yes. I remember that, Steve.
Thank you. I think we've already spoken about Gorman Park. We also have a member of the community at large who has advocated for Gorman Park. So I think it's fair to say that we're keeping this item, yes?
Yes.
Okay, unless, is there anybody that opposes it or that has any questions or? Okay, the next one is renovate Eastern Broadway perimeter around Fort Tryon Park and Loftus Playground and add sensory playground. Like I said, we've had discussions about Fort Tryon. We can keep it and then the ranking will decide if it's a priority or not for this committee. And ultimately, remember that this also has to go through a second ranking through with the entire board. So this is just, we're going to submit our rankings by Sunday, the 15th, but it goes through a second phase of rankings, and that's the entire community board. So agreed. Yeah. Naima, we keep it? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not Naima. Alexis?
What, 22?
22.
Yeah, rock on.
Rock on, she says. Danny?
Yeah, that's cool. Anything for sensory playgrounds, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I'll abstain.
Now the counter argument is that this playground was just renovated. So I'm just putting forth what might be the possible counterpoints to our rankings.
Well, I mean, that
yes.
particular park playground wasn't, right?
Yeah.
It was, they put in this new playground, which I guess some people don't like so much, but I think they kept that part of the playground the same. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah. I played in Loftus, and yeah, Steve, I might have some pictures, and I might even have those little silent movies of me playing there. I don't know, I have to dig deep and dust it off. Okay, let's see. So we are saying that everything having to do with ADA stays, so I'm skipping the next one. So 24, repair and construct Fort Tryon Park Linden Terrace. What are we saying about this? And do we have any updates from you, Steve or Jan, about this? Has there been any kind of work done there? And then I keep saying, we can keep it and just let the ranking speak for itself.
No, there hasn't been any work on the Linden Terrace for, I don't know, at least 20 or more years.
Where is that? Can you give us the location of that for the people that are joining in via the live stream so that they have an idea?
Okay, well, the Linden Terrace is probably the most scenic point in all of northern Manhattan. It's just beyond the Heather Garden, and it's upper level, and you have incredible views of the.
Is that where the flagpole is?
Yes, yeah. It's right near the flagpole, and it's has 2 or 3 rows of benches, and you have incredible views of the river, the Palisades, the GW Bridge. It's a very special place.
Okay.
Is that the one that overlooks the pathway where the cars can go under?
It's close
no.
to that. That's more the cloisters. It's really, where like the Heather Garden ends and you walk up those stairs. That's Linden Terrace. A lot of couples make out there. A lot of people get married.
Why do you know that?
A lot of people get married there. There's Tai Chi there.
You can see all the way to Bronx Community College from there.
Exactly, yeah,
We,
yeah.
we had a commissioner whose husband proposed to her way before she became commissioner. Turns out that when we took her there, we found out that she had been there at least once before when she had been proposed to. But could I just point out one thing? Please don't use the word repair with any of these items.
Okay.
Capital money is not supposed to be used for repairs. So you should either say renovate, reconstruct, rehabilitate, but repair is a word that we'd be better off if you would avoid using.
Thank you for that. Yes, Jason.
I mean, I haven't looked at it carefully. It is great. It is wonderful, but why does it need to be reconstructed?
Well,
That's a good question. That's a good question.
It's really the pavement is falling apart in various places.
Okay.
Thank you. So number 25, wasn't that the basketball court that got funding?
I think so, yeah.
That's it, right?
No, unfortunately not. This is where Domingo Estevez has his group and that they use. And there are, if I remember correctly, 3.5 basketball courts, and at least 2.5 of them have serious cracks and requires a complete renovation of those courts.
Which was the one that was renovated, that there was a vote and the community joined from a barber shop? It was amazing. It was incredible because we had youth input in that.
Okay, we haven't, that should be further down on your list under, should be one of the ones for, yes, it's one of the ones for CS. That's the basketball court. That's one basketball court at West 186th Street.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Here it is. It's number 43.
Okay. Oh, 43. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that, Steve. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this because this is the first item that for me, I'm seeing it's addressing, a benefit for our youth. It's on the east side of Broadway, and we all know the whole Broadway East and West divide in terms of along socioeconomic lines. So if the committee, I'm going to say to keep it, yes, and see what happens. Okay, we have the next one is ADA accessibility. We're keeping that. So it says here, more family picnic, barbecue areas throughout CD12 parks to meet increasing community demand. Now, before I took this responsibility of chairing this committee, Liz took me on a tour to see all of the areas that we would be discussing today. And I saw, for example, along PS5, when where the Harlem River Drive starts, basically, it's all where the cherry blossoms are. That everybody knows that we have cherry blossoms in the Heights, right?
Yes.
They have a lot of they have barbecue pits there, yes?
People do barbecue.
I think all the way in the back and behind the school. I think there's like one or two, if I'm not mistaken.
So I would need specificity for this if I want to keep this item, because when you say more family picnic barbecue areas, where exactly are we talking about specifically? Where is that need?
I think this came up during the pandemic when people were searching for
outdoor
ways to be
spaces.
outside.
Okay.
As part of the plan for the construction of new park space along Academy Street alongside the Sherman Creek, we're also going to be creating more picnic and barbecue areas back over there as well.
So would it be okay for us to eliminate this, to shave this off?
Painfully.
Well, that's, I mean,
Naima has acquiesced. I cannot believe it. She's like, painfully. Well, but we just got the news that this is coming down the pipe. So in an effort so that we can minimize our asks, so that we can maximize the possibility of funding, that how do you feel, Danny? Unless there's a committee member who really wants to keep this, but I also don't want to be.
It's not specific enough.
It's not specific
It's a
enough.
real
Is that
need.
okay?
It just needs
Yeah.
to be more specific.
And do
what does throughout CD12 parks? Like what's
Yeah.
at the borders? Is
Right.
Is it every single park uptown?
It just came up, like, oh my gosh, Alexis said during the pandemic, we were having these discussions because folks were just out doing a lot more in the parks, and we as a committee identified that we need more spaces that are specific for the picnics and the barbecues, so that families aren't so much on the lawns and on the fields. And folks were complaining about, like, when people do parties and they leave the
garbage,
all
yeah.
the garbage. So
Yeah.
it's just more about designating spaces, but it's not specific enough. So it makes sense to remove it at this point.
Okay, and then if people feel so strongly about it, they can come to a committee meeting, request for it to be integrated. But I know for a fact that we have some areas, and I know that Riverside Park also has areas. I see people barbecuing there. Okay, I'm sorry, Steve, did you have something to say?
No, but certainly we do have barbecue areas in Fort Washington Park along the river as well. So
okay,
we have a number of them in Washington Heights and Inwood.
Okay, good. All right, so that's going to be eliminated. Yes, Danny.
I was gonna say, I wonder if it's like beneficial for the parks to put those like red cans in like places where people do go to barbecue where they're probably not supposed to barbecue. I think that would be a good idea sometimes.
Well, we certainly put them in places where barbecuing is allowed. I don't know if we want to put them in places where they're not allowed.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the delivery of that. Danny, are you okay? I'm sorry.
Is that Steve is just grateful?
Yeah, I'm fine because like I just know like in parks like the whole Harlem River Drive, like you go there in the summertime and you know that there's a lot of people, you know, having fun and all that stuff. But yeah.
They're having picnics.
And they're also, I think I saw a couple of barbecue spots in the sidewalk and parks, right? There are a couple of those there. So yeah. So yeah, we agree that because of lack of specificity, we're just going to strike it out and just shave our list a little bit by a little bit. Okay, we already spoke about McKenna Square Park.
Yes.
We also spoke about the Lighthouse Greenway. Steve explained that extensively. All right, so we're up to item number 30, asbestos abatement and restoration of building D for security presence.
Well, you know, we don't really have a specific use in mind at this point. We were thinking at one point of using the building for our parks enforcement patrol. And maybe that is still the current thinking. We have a building in Fort Tryon Park, close to Broadway, and I don't know. Is it?
Well,
what is the cross street? You
yeah,
know?
Steve, I was going to say that's where I was headed. So
Okay.
this building
Dungan.
building D is at Sherman at Broadway, so it's really accessible to the east side of the park. We do want to revive that building. It has restrooms in it that are closed currently. So it's a public restroom with space inside that, as Steve said, we have thought could be a nice facility for Parks Enforcement Patrol, our PEP officers. That's a great jumping off spot for them to go east, west, north, south. And it would really activate the building. So that's building D. The building, Luana, I heard you mention at Dong and Lawn, that's actually an MTA building.
I did not know that.
Yes. And I'm working on trying to get a partnership with MTA so we can address that space in the park.
Okay, thank you. Danny, you have a question? I want to try and end by 9 o'clock, everybody. So yes.
No, I wanted to say that would be pretty interesting to change that building. I think I know exactly which building you're talking about. It's like the one that's right above like that big lawn, and there's like some like little stairs right there.
Yes, yes. So it's kind of, it's like if you're standing at building D and looking north, you're looking kind of down on Dongan Lawn. Yeah, so it's like at Sherman at Broadway, and it's right pretty much inside the entrance at Sherman, and you go up those little steps on the left. Exactly, Danny.
I see it all the time. Yeah, that's cool. I would definitely keep it on this list. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Naima, keep it?
That's fine.
Yeah? Alexis, yeah? All right. And then renovate, repair sidewalk pavers on the west side of Cabrini adjacent to Fort Washington. What is that? Okay, so it's renovate and repair sidewalk pavers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a bluestone pavement, and a lot of the bluestone is cracked, and there are plenty of trip hazards along that sidewalk because of the all of the cracks and in the bluestone. So it actually is not. I hesitate to say this, but it's not really adjacent to Fort Washington. It's really adjacent to Fort Tryon. That section of parkland is really like the southern point of Fort Tryon Park.
Okay. And then Fort Washington Park inspiration, point portico repair steps, ADA accessibility. We said that any project relating to accessibility we're keeping. Number 33, High Bridge Rec Center weatherization.
I will say this.
Go ahead, Naima.
I will say this like one more time. We have kept the majority of the items, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's one. Number two, of the 5 items that are connected to Fort Tryon Park, we've already kept 4.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And point 3, we still have these two coming up, number 33 and 34. And I'm just bringing this up again because this is just our recommendation that we have shortened down, but we have still, again, kept 4 for Fort Tryon Park. I'm just putting that out there because then it affects the chances of other items, for example, Inwood Hill Park ball fields 3 and 5 being prioritized as just one item in that area, for example. So I just that's all I will say. I'll keep my peace for the rest of the time.
No, and I think that's a valid concern, Naima, because then what happens is that when these go, remember that this is just what the committee is deciding to keep. We still have to rank them as a committee, and then the board ranks them. So if that is definitely an area of concern that you have, then that is definitely something that you can bring up in a general board meeting, right? And explain as a community member why you feel the way that you do, and then exhort the community board why they should rank the projects that you deem important.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I appreciate the guidance. Thank you.
Yeah. Is that fair, everybody? I think,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if it's like also just like maybe kind of like a be mindful kind of thing where maybe the different places that we're asking for like fixes it seems like a very diverse kind of like area, from like the battlefields to like to this like Javits Park. I mean the ball fields, sorry, the ball fields to like to Javits Park. I would think it would be like little places, like different places in like different neighborhoods and all that stuff. And I wonder if it would also be beneficial maybe to maybe like rank them in like different neighborhoods. I don't know.
Right. That's up to you, Danny. I mean, the way that you choose to rank, this is why you're a community board member. You can decide to rank these according to geography, according to socioeconomic, according to equity, according to, I said geography, socioeconomics, usage, like Naima said, potential usage. It's up to you.
I would like to strike out number 30, just because what is the park currently using for security presence right now? like what location is being used for that purpose right now? And is it, I would just strike to eliminate 30.
Is that building D, Naima?
See,
Yes,
building D.
yes.
Yeah. So two points. The major reason we want to open that is for the restrooms. But in terms of our Parks Enforcement Patrol, right now they're operating out of a trailer at High Bridge, and the trailer has a broken floor.
The restrooms will be open to the public?
Yes.
So then what's more important, that or the Linden Terrace?
I would vote for, I mean, Steve, you know, as we said, we love everything, but I would vote for the public restrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Building
Jason.
Maybe I'm confused about where building D is, but it isn't just up the way the playground where there are.
When you
also-
enter Fort Tryon Park through Duncan Place,
Yeah, you go up.
Broadway?
Yeah.
So you go left, it's in the southern end of the park on Broadway and Sherman.
Yeah, and then you like, if you go, I walk that like every day. I think I'm thinking with like, there's the garden on the right and then
Mhm.
the hill field going up on the left, or is this something? This is on the south, on Broadway.
And Sherman.
And Sherman.
Yes.
Yeah, so if it's far from the Fort Tryon restrooms.
Well, if you're thinking of Ann Loftus, it's maybe 3 or 4
Yeah.
blocks south of Ann Loftus.
That's what I meant. Thanks, Steve. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then the last one, and then can somebody, because we already explained, Naeem already advocated for the ball fields. We struck out 35 and 36. So what would 33 be again? Highbridge Rec Center weatherization, fixed windows to retain. Now, how, I guess my question for this one is, I didn't even know there was a rec center. Is it highly used?
Oh, my God.
I believe so.
Yes,
The 170.
you haven't been to the Highbridge Rec Center? It's at 170.
I have not.
That's where the
Yeah.
pool is at.
The pool, okay.
The pool, the pool's over there, the pool.
Yeah, it's a very active rec center.
Would make sense to keep this item because we do need to fix the windows and all of that. And
Well,
we
it's
change.
really not, it's to replace the windows. I wouldn't say fix them.
Got it.
There's a lot of
Thank you, Steve.
The windows are way outmoded and need to be
Okay.
replaced. But can I just put something else into context about the
Please.
ball fields? Naima, I want you to know that ball fields, the reason that ball fields 1, 2, and 4 are not listed there is because that's a capital project already funded, that's in the pipeline. Those 3 ball fields are due to be reconstructed, hopefully starting at some point, maybe in early next year. And ball field number 1 will have lighting on it. So we are addressing the ball field needs. And listen, I'm the one who put ball fields 3 and 5 on this list because my argument was you can't just do 3 out of 5. You got to renovate all 5 of them. You don't want 2 looking crappy while you have 3 others that look great. So I just want you to know, however, that 3 of them are funded. 3 of them are going to be renovated, hopefully starting in the next year. And we have not ignored those ball fields by any means.
Steve, and are those the ball fields that are in Inwood Hill Park where Isham is at, or Inwood Hill Park by Dykeman where?
No, the one at Isham Street is the one that has the bleachers there. That's ball field number 1. That's the one that will get the lighting, and the 2 fields right next to it are known as ball fields 2 and 4, and the other 2 further north are 3 and 5. So
Okay, those are the ones closer to 218 Street, like by
Yes.
the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 and 5 are
Great.
right in front, across from Hudson River.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and then we want to include as a new project, the rehabilitation of the hockey rink or the roller skating rink or usage of
Construction.
how do we want to word this?
If I can, I would say you want to reconstruct it and convert it into a multi-use space, and then we can discuss at a later point what the uses can be. And you should know, by the way, this is something that was on the last participatory budget ballot from Councilmember De La Rosa's office. We were talking to them about getting some money to convert it into a space that would accommodate various uses, including tennis, volleyball, pickleball, whatever.
Right.
But so this is something that is still, I think, would be well received by many.
What's the exact name of the room?
What's the location or the name of, can I get like a specific location, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I think you would refer to it as the, as the hockey rink at Dykeman Fields in Wood Hill Park.
Guys, I'm so sorry that I continue speaking up here. My apologies. But I do have to make a clarification for number 34. Steve, I thought that 34 was the ball fields at the Dykeman Fields.
No.
Those are the ones that need dire repair. Those are the ones that I'm speaking about. There's a whole nother segment because we all know the Inwood Little League plays in that area right now where 3 and 5 and 1, 2, and 4 are at. And there's hundreds of families there too, but there's actually hundreds of families at the Dykeman Field baseball fields. And those are the ones that need dire repair because these families are the ones that are taking from their pockets to try to fix things in those fields. And those are the ones that are kind of forgotten. I would like to ask if it is possible, number one, if you can clarify what's the name of those fields, and if we can actually switch, instead of Inwood Hill Park ball fields 3 and 5, can it be Dykeman Fields ball fields 1 and 2 or something?
Well, that would be your judgment. I think you're probably right that those fields at Dykeman Fields require some work. I know that a sinkhole opened up on one of them recently. I'm not sure of the extent of work that's required at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised that they would necessitate a full renovation at this point. But I would not argue against putting it on this list.
So Naima, you're saying that you want the Dykeman Fields, the Dykeman ball fields renovated.
Steve, what numbers are those?
Oh, brother, give me 30 seconds, please.
Okay. I'm amazed by Steve. I'm not sure the numbers either, Steve.
So because, sorry, Jen, one quick second. Let's not, because it's almost 9 o'clock and we haven't even started with the expense budget. And I'm gonna put a pin on the expense budget and just, if it's okay, have people rank it on their own electronically. Let's research and then I'll just add it on the list.
I'm not asking for it to be added. I'm asking to replace Inwood Hill Park ball fields 3 and 5 for Dykeman ball fields 1 and 2, whatever the numbers are.
So
there are 4 fields at Dykeman.
Yes.
We'd have to have somebody take a look at whether all 4 require renovation. So
I can answer that question. The answer is yes, but what I'm asking is let's just choose 2 out of the 4.
Oh, well, all right. Well, that's.
And I only know that it's a yes because I helped that group get their permit to be in the park, and just trying to help those families. Like it's kind of been forgotten. It really has been forgotten, that area.
Actually, no, it's not
the area, because obviously we're talking about the roller skating, but at least the baseball area, it just needs a little more love. So now
we're also working on soccer there as well. So we're definitely aware. I think
I'm speaking about baseball.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is that we're very aware of the baseball fields as well, as we've been working on the sinkhole. So we're definitely not doing anything to neglect it. I agree with you that it should be added. A shorthand, maybe for listing it, if Steve and I can't get the numbers today, is to
Jason actually found it. Jason found it online. So
well, the fields begin with when you begin coming in at Dykeman Street. They're in order of 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first field is 1, 2, and then 2, 3, and 4.
So they're known as Dykeman Softball 1, Dykeman Softball 2, right? That's what they're called.
And that's where the sinkhole is.
Yeah, those are the ones, I'm not asking to add them to the list because then it creates competition in terms of what's already there. What I'm asking is to switch out Inwood Hill Park ball fields 3 and 5, switch them out for Dykeman softball 1 and 2, only because Inwood Hill Park has received 1, 2, and 4 already, and Dykeman ball fields has received none. That's all, that's what I'm asking for.
Well, this is our list. We
Right.
generate this.
Yeah.
So how does the committee feel about that?
I think
Naeem is calling for, I'm sorry, Alexis, go ahead.
That was my fault, I apologize.
Naeem is calling for a substitution. Instead of Inwood Hill Park, ball fields 3 and 4, it would be Dykeman softball fields 1 and 2.
I mean, you should check this after the
Oh,
meeting.
we'll check it, yeah. Thank you.
On this map, it calls them Inwood Hill Park
Yeah.
Dykeman Softball 1
Yeah, that's what it is. That's the
and
official
Inwood,
name.
and Inwood Hill Park Dykeman
Softball
Softball 4.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected to Inwood Hill Park.
Mhm.
Got it.
That's what it has on this map.
Danny, how do you feel about that substitution?
I think that's a pretty good idea because I think I know which park, which ball fields 3 and 5 is, and those are the ones that Inwood league, the league that plays out over there. Those are really nice out over there. The ones on Dykeman, they're kind of like, they need a little
Love, yeah.
little
So,
TLC, yeah, why not?
so what's the location of ball fields 1, 2, and 3? Can I have at least like an approximation of a street if we get asked, so that we are able to say what the differentiation is in terms of geography?
It's
You-
the
you re-
entrance,
you
the
really-
entrance to, Steve, I've got it. It's the entrance to Dykeman Fields in the cul-de-sac. So at when you're coming to the marina, it's the
No,
entrance.
I'm talking about 1, 2, and 4.
That's where you enter. That's where you enter.
Okay, so then where is 1 and 2?
I think you're confusing 1, 2, and 4. with
They're
Inwood Hill Park.
just north of Dykeman Street.
Yeah, I want the location of 1, 2, and 4.
Wha-
1,
wha-
2, and 4
what-
is
what-
for
what
Inwood
they're-
Hill League,
Those are
There are no cross streets there.
Isham Park.
You can only say it's
Okay.
north of, you can only say it's north of Dykeman Street.
Got it.
There would only be Inwood Hill Dykeman softball field 1 and 2.
Okay, great.
And the entrance, as Madam said, is through the Dykeman fields, like
All right.
the marina.
Yeah. Sorry, John. I had a clear picture of the entrance into Dykeman. It's the other ones because Inwood Hill Park is huge and it connects all the way to like 207. So I just wanted to see like where
And
the
it wraps
tennis
around.
are.
Yep.
Oh, I play tennis. I was part of an urban youth tennis league that served kids that went to public schools. And I learned how to play tennis in Inwood Hill Park. And with that, it's 9:00. Committee, do we feel comfortable now looking at the expense budget independently? Because I think that this is for programming, and then we can have, it's a smaller list. We can take the next 15 minutes and discuss, or we can do these rankings independently. Danny?
I was gonna say is softball 1 and 4, softball 1 and softball 4.
Thank you. Naima, softball 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. How do we feel about the expense budget?
But I'm sorry, we're just going back to
Yeah, go ahead.
while I agree that what is that, softball 1 and 4 at Dykeman should be added, I don't think we should replace, because I don't think it should replace something that's like for 3 and 5. Is that what we're saying? I mean, I think there's room for it, for both.
I disagree with that only because we need to be realistic that things need to be, items need to be prioritized. And everything, we have over 30 items here, which are not going to make it to the final cut. And so if we keep both, we're minimizing the chance of the Dykeman ball fields being prioritized. So I think it's important to be like clear about that.
Strategic.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that,
And
Alexis?
keep in mind,
You okay?
that 1, 2, and 4 at that site have been given some love, but
No,
the
I'm
other
put-
one has
that-
not received
Right,
any.
that's what I'm just trying to, so you said 3, they said 3 and 5 still needs
That would be
repair.
taken out.
But no, I'm just trying to.
Okay.
3 and 5, according to this, still needs repair.
Right, yeah.
And you want Dykeman 1 and 4, right?
To substitute it for Dykeman 1.
Right. I'm just saying, I think there's room on this list for both. We've already cut some, and then when people prioritize it, that's up to them.
Right, but I think that that's not being fair to the Dykeman Ball Fields community that has had zero support in that area compared to the Inwood Hill Ball Field community that has 3 out of the 5 that have been upgraded.
I don't disagree with your point. I'm just saying, I think they need the love, but
it doesn't set it up for success if we keep
Okay.
working together.
I'm just gonna say to you, we're gonna agree to disagree on this one.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so then,
But majority do agree with the substitution.
well, now well, yeah, it's 3, 1, 2, 3 to 1.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, I'm allowed to
All right.
disagree on it.
Oh, of course. Of
And
course.
that's
We
fine. I
can
still
have,
love you,
yeah.
And I love the glasses.
So, we're saying now that, so this is what the discussion is happening, right? Let me just mediate this. So there's a discussion or a question as to whether or not it would be strategic in order to have a fair chance for funding for at least the park that has not received any funding altogether in terms of vicinity. So on one end, we're saying, or, the committee, part of the committee saying, rightfully so, that they both deserve to be on the list because they both need the funding. The other side of the discussion, which is also valid, is that if we want a chance at funding, there's one area from a geographic perspective that has received some indirect funding, meaning that the funding did not go to 3 and 5, but it did go to 1, 2, and 4. Whereas 1 and 4 on Dykeman has not received any funding at all. So now the discussion is, do we go with striking out 3 and 5, replacing it with Dykeman 1 and 4, or do we keep both? Did I say that? Did I verbalize that correctly? And there is disagreement, which is perfectly fine. We welcome diversity of thought here. Danny, what are your thoughts? If not, we can just put it into a vote in terms of what we're going to do, include, strike out, or what have you. But then again, we can include it, and then the ranking will decide. And again, just because we rank it one way here, remember that parks also gets pushed. We're competing with other committees in terms of full board ranking. So,
Which is why I am.
yeah,
It's not even advocating or requesting. It's almost like pleading, like these families, literally, their kids are playing in ball fields that are subpar quality. All of them.
I mean, I get it. Okay, I do outreach
And
to Marcus Garvey Park.
and
So I
so-
understand what you're saying.
And so what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that if we keep both of them, we're actually not
there's a
helping,
risk.
we're not helping any of them. If
Got
we
it.
keep both of them, because it's gonna be a competition, because it's gonna be 2 items that are the same, literally. So I'm just asking if we can prioritize the Dykeman Fields simply because Dykeman Fields had 0 out of 4
Mhm.
funded, whereas Inwood Hill Ball Fields have 3 out of 5
Right.
funded. That's all.
I also encourage Naima for those families to come to
Oh,
the
they
board
do
meeting.
come, but I
Yeah,
think it's still valid to.
no, absolutely.
substitute.
Danny, what are your thoughts?
I wonder if that maybe like strikes an idea to maybe to put that whole park as like one of those like bigger ticket items where it's just like they could like fully renovate the whole park, because there is like that the baseball field that's out over there. I think they just put workout equipment. They want to fix the rink. They could even fix that soccer field that's all the way in the back, or like even repave that whole road. And I wonder if they could even if even both of them live on the expense list, that both those jobs could be done during the time that they're not being used, and serve both neighborhoods that way. Or I wonder if like even like parks already have that as a item that we're already gonna fix this park already, Dykeman Fields,
You're not really.
Right, Jason. And then I want to take
I'm
last
very passionate.
comments.
I mean, this is my second meeting.
I don't, I'm not
talking about,
disagreeing.
Guys, can we just have one
Yes.
conversation,
But-
please?
But-
Yeah,
I would
Yes.
say, you're one of multiple community boards, you're not gonna get everything. Okay.
Right.
That said, in the future, you want to maybe get that money for those 3 and 5, but at the same time, the ones on Dykeman, you really want to prioritize. So if I was you, I would say move the Dykeman ones as high as you can in ranking. All right. I mean, I'm not sure I put them above Gorman and the ADA stuff, but as close to the top as you can. Move the other ones down to the very bottom.
Right.
And that way, they get the request from everyone. They know things at the bottom are not so much of a priority. And so they probably won't give it to you anyway. But then if you get the money for the Dykeman ones, when you come back 2 years from now and you say, this has been on the list for 2-3 years, can we finally get the money for this? Then you might get it. And that way, by taking it off the list, you accomplish what you want in terms of prioritizing Dykeman. But you also kind of leave it there as kind of a thing so that when you come back 2 years from now, maybe you can get the money for the Ishman as well. That's my suggestion.
So are we saying, okay, so now we're going back. Are we saying that we're going to keep both 3 and 5 and then as a new project, include 1 and 2?
1 and 4.
1 and 4. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 1 and 4. Is that with the exception of Naima, who feels feels very strongly about being strategic in terms of the ask, but also how does it look?
Realistic about that. Like it's
right.
It's just the reality of it.
And I don't want to go in circles with the same discussion.
Right.
We've already established the pros, the cons, the agreements and disagreements.
And
now
those folks, I will let them know about the meeting on the 19th so that they can come. But you know, this was out of the good heart of Steve, who suggested adding 3 and 5 since 1, 2, and 4 were funded. Again, strategically, it's just if we have both of them, it just makes it a competition between both of them.
We understand.
It's literally a competition.
Okay,
unnecessarily.
So then what I'm going to do is, as the chair, I'm just going to put this into a vote and make it a democratic decision in terms of adding. Yes, go ahead, Steve.
I'm sorry. I'm just curious, Naima, why are you choosing ball field number 4 at the Dykeman Fields as opposed to ball field number 2? And I think the sinkhole may have occurred at number 2, but normally we would want to do the capital work at contiguous fields. We wouldn't want the contractor to be jumping from one end of the park to another. That does.
Yeah, I agree. 1 and 2 is fine. I think 4 was just thrown out and folks, we ran with it, but 1 and 2.
I'm confused. What are we talking about? 1 and 2?
Dykeman.
Dykeman 1 and
I had said 1 and 2 as well. Yeah.
Dykeman 1 and 2.
Yeah, the first one.
Not 4.
Yeah, Jana, which one has the sinkhole?
It's 2.
Yeah, please, you got to include 2.
So, and 1 and 2 are the first fields you come to, Luana.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
That's what would make the most sense.
So now what I'm going to do is, because there is we can choose to include both.
Let's vote.
Right? So then, but now the vote is, there's a committee member that wants to be strategic and not ask for 2 identical items, albeit different locations, because we want to make sure, or
There's literally a sinkhole at Dykeman ball fields.
Yes. So now we're going to put this to a vote. The vote is include both or strike out 1. No pun intended. We're talking about softball and baseball, which is strike out item 34. And as a new item, Dykeman 1 and 2, or keep both and the ranking will decide. So how do we vote? Danny, how do you vote?
I would say put both of them and let the people come to these meetings and advocate for it as well too, you know?
By that time, it's going to be too late.
We're taking, Naima, I understand your passion, but we're taking a vote and it is, okay. We want to make it as democratic as possible.
You know, I think about it, what is it? They're going to put an ADA bathroom in there.
Where?
In the Dykeman ball fields, right?
Well, that's on the list. that's on the list
Yeah,
also.
I want like that's what I was like saying earlier. I wonder if it's just like if it's more beneficial to make it like a bigger ticket item and just like renovate that whole park instead of just like having to compete for like one ball fields and another ball fields. I would love for that whole area to have like brand new ball fields. And it would be unfair to not have to, if someone's advocating for the ball fields out over there to be like, oh, like nah, it's not your turn right now, you know. I would advocate for to have both of them there, and you know,
And let the ranking decide
yeah, and like
according to.
definitely rank one more important than the other, obviously. And I would definitely rank it up, or just like make it a whole big project item, you know, just like, oh,
Exactly.
like let's just change the whole brand new park. Here's like 30, 40, $100 million or whatever it is that the city pays out for it.
Right. The only thing is that in terms of feasibility, remember, the bigger the ask, the more money. And then you have to ask yourself, you know, is this feasible? Are we really going to get, what's the, you know, if there is one small project within a larger one, will there be more possibility to get that small project rather than consolidating everything and then make it like, we're not going to get, you know, this funding because it's too much money? That's just a question that I'm putting out there, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So in the essence of,
oh, my bad, because I was gonna say that then there's also gonna be the rink project, the skating rink in the back. So it's like that's one project, that's another project. The bathroom, that's like three projects right there.
Or try and have.
And quite possibly another one by la Marina, because that all connects to it, you
Right.
know. That's four right there.
yeah, but right now, Danny, what we're doing is identifying needs, and then the ranking can determine like what those needs deserve priority. All we're doing is identifying needs. Does that make sense?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. So Danny, you vote keeping both.
Yes.
Naima, we know that you want to strike out 34.
I want to substitute.
Well, yeah, the problem is that cannot happen, the substitute, because it's not something that is the same. So you have to take out the item to include a new one. They're separate things. Okay. What, Alexis?
No, I think that they should both be left in. I just got a quick question. So with the sinkhole, does that mean that, and this might be ignorant on my part, with the sinkhole, does that mean that ball field 2 will be repaired because of the sinkhole? Is that something?
Well, that's certainly our hope. We're going to have engineers take a look at it and try to determine the cause of the sinkhole. But certainly our intent would be to get it, if it's feasible, to get it repaired as quickly as possible.
And would that include repairing the ball field?
Well, I don't think that would include doing an overall. Listen, I don't know right now. We need to have some.
Yeah, I think we can take Jackie Robinson Park, where I used to work, also had this issue, Alexis. And to your question, generally we try our best to address the sinkhole, but that doesn't give the funding to address the entire field.
Got it. So also in terms of, and I'm voting this because of proximity, that if one ball field is not up to par, but there's another one down the block, then it would make sense to then eliminate 34 and add softball 1 and 2. However, now it's a tie. So, and we don't have any more members present to break the tie. So I'm going to have to consult with Kathy and the parliamentarian to see how that works out. It is 9:15. The meeting went a little bit over than what I anticipated because of the ranking. So hopefully moving forward, we'll keep it to 2 hours. Is everybody comfortable looking at the expense budget and ranking independently? Because that's a separate thing than capital. Or do we spend the next 15 minutes discussing it? It's up to you. I'll put it to a vote.
Individual.
Individual. Naima wants individual. Danny? And remember, the way that we're doing this, I'm going to put all of this on a Google sheet, on a Google Excel sheet, and I'm going to share the drive with everybody. And then you can, I'll put your names in columns, and then you can rank it as such, and then I'll rank it as the full committee.
The only thing
I was gonna say individual, and I wonder if we could put notes or that's even like possible. I don't know.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question on the expense.
Alexis, yes?
34, I mean, love the idea of those. God bless
Yes.
them. They have a purpose. But, you know, we've got bigger fish to fry.
Yes.
Can we just take that out? For, you know, I mean, we have bigger fish to fry uptown than increased use of goats.
Sure. And then instead of the ranking, but yeah, I don't know who introduced this to.
Well,
yes. Instead of the
Sally.
ranking, if you want a strikeout, just put an SO. I'll add clear instructions to the Google Drive, okay?
Thank you, Dan.
I think that whole thing with the goats is like they eat invasive plants.
Species.
Yeah, or they just like eat everything.
Do they eat lantern flies? I mean, you know, I would love to find a mammal that does that.
If they eat lantern flies, we should get a bunch of them.
Okay, everybody. So it was very productive. Thank you so much for your kindness, your patience. We did it in 2 hours and a half, almost. So that's a good thing. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have it in 2 hours, because this is a priority, and I just wanted to make sure that we had discussions about this. Okay.
So motion to adjourn.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Yes.
Okay, and the meeting has ended at 9:17. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Talk to you later. 9:17.